strongly believes the importance of environment protection and energy efficiency in order to achieve a sustainable future for mankind. Thus, our technological commitment will foster mutual betterment of our allied companies, customers, shareholders, and employees. Tide pledges to always hold our management philosophy and values at heart. Until now, the meter readers have had to do manual meter reading. This existing manual process is time and money-consuming work. This makes it hard for us to detect blackout and manage energy demands. And it makes us hard to manage loss during transmission and distribution. As a result, this existing manual process makes grid unsmarter. But TOT's end-to-end AMI solutions will connect the user with utility companies. TOT's intelligent AMI solutions will solve many problems from the existing manual process. We can reduce time and money spent metering manually. We can manage blackout and loss during distribution. We can do demand response, TOU. Finally, we can make grid smarter. AMI service. Meter reading information of household is call-cited by modem and DCU. There are two types of smart meter, internal and external. Smart meter sends metering data to modem via serial communication. Modem sends metering data to DCU via PLC communication. DCU sends metering data to server via fiber optic and cellular network. On-time monitoring and detection of electrical loss. TOU, time of USC flexible tariffs. Connectivity to electric vehicle charging system. Connection of renewable energy and battery with bidirectional metering. Reliable collection rate improving monitoring of power quality. Making grid smarter and more efficient. A hidden champion in the energy IoT solution industry. Tide.
The world of energy is changing. And change is good. It creates new opportunities. As long as we can adapt, the potential is endless. But in the world of energy, change can be difficult. It's fast and complex. And we still need to maintain grid stability and power quality, ensure cybersecurity, and provide affordable and reliable energy. Rise to the challenge. It's time to accelerate the change by driving energy intelligence. From the smartest way to control your grid, to the new opportunities at the grid edge, and across connected electrification solutions. Imagine the possibilities once the grids are truly smart. It will be possible to operate and maintain grids with confidence. Use data to create transparency and react quickly to whatever's next. Ensure an energy supply that meets every requirement. We at Siemens are driving energy intelligence so you can master all the changes today and tomorrow.
Siemens, ingenuity for life.
It's easy to be blinded by the urgent issues facing our planet. But to shut our eyes is not in our DNA. We look at problems not as one big challenge. We break them down into a spectrum of solutions. Leveraging our pioneering and digital technologies to co-create innovative solutions with our partners and customers across the entire value chain. Powering efficiency by creating a smarter, more flexible power grid. Powering resilience and reliability by digitalizing the energy value chain. Powering safety by enabling cyber-secure infrastructure for mission-critical sectors. Powering sustainability by integrating renewables into the power grid. We are two pioneers combining generations of expertise for a stronger, smarter, and greener future. Powering good for sustainable energy. Hitachi ABB Power Grids.
The courage to challenge the unknown world. The passion to make a beautiful evening. The delivery of hope to isolated areas. All are made possible by KEPCO. The symbiotic energy to create a better world is made by KEPCO. Owning 6 power generation companies and 4 power group companies, KEPCO demonstrates its capacity as a leader in the world energy market based on its competitiveness as a small energy company. Managing power generation, renewable energy like wind and solar power, and even super high voltage transmission and transformation facilities and distribution networks, KEPCO is a comprehensive power company. Amid paradigm shifts in the energy industry, like the Paris Climate Agreement, and rapid growth of emerging economies, KEPCO is creating a new growth engine by pursuing a value-created new energy industry. Deviating from the traditional energy industry, including EVC, ESS, smart grid, and microgrid, etc., KEPCO is pursuing technology development and commercialization in the new energy industry. We are also striving to prepare the technological foundation for IoT, which has infinite potential as a new power industry. KEPCO continues to create new values by combining power technology and ICT projects, while pushing forward with the construction of offshore wind power complexes in the southwestern seas, construction of HVDC submarine cables from Jeju Island to Jindo Island, and the technological development and commercialization of the smart grid, which is an intelligent power grid that used to be only dreamed of. KEPCO will build a greater energy world by developing Energy Valley, the cradle for creating future growth engines, into a global smart energy hub and lead the new energy industry. With the invisible energy of happiness, KEPCO opens a hopeful future.
The various stakeholders in the French smart grid sector may be found on this diagram: network management and operations. These solutions deliver cost savings and technical improvements to networks. New uses. These solutions encompass e-mobility, smart homes and smart buildings. Of the prosumer. Prosumers are active participants in the energy market thanks to smart meters and self-consumption. Integration of renewable resources. These solutions help manage the challenge of renewable energy intermittency. Use of data. Energy data is put to use to offer new services to consumers and local authorities. Research and expertise. Members of this sector offer smart grid-related training and consultancy services. France, including overseas departments and collectivities, aims to generate 32% of the energy it consumes from renewable sources by 2030. Since 2008, 121 pilot demonstration projects around the country have helped hone France's expertise in smart grid operational technologies and features. From 2008 to 2014, €500 million has been invested in R&D, putting France top of the European League. Now, this experience and the French government's call for proposals for large-scale smart grid projects has resulted in projects being rolled out in several regions by the successful applicants: FlexGrid, UNGrid and Smile. These smart grid projects span several regions and focus upon the 6 key aspects of the French smart grid sector, promoting French expertise in this field on the international stage.
Honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon for those who joined the webinar from Asia, and good morning for those who joined this event or virtual event from Europe. My name is Desti Alcano, co-founder and associate researcher at Energy Academy Indonesia, or ECADIN, knowledge management and sharing platform for those who are interested in keeping eyes open on the regulation and technologies in the energy sectors. On behalf of the Indonesian Electrical Power Society, or Masyarakat Ketenaga Listrikan Indonesia, MKI, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar entitled Smart Grid Implementation Strategy in Indonesia, which is supported by Directorate General of Electricity, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of Republic of Indonesia, and PT PLN Persero. It's sponsored by Tide, Huawei, KEPCO, Hitachi, ABB Power Grid, Siemens, ABB Sakti Industri, Trillion, GE Grid Solutions, Mitsubishi Power, and in partnership with Think Smart Grid and Energy Academy Indonesia, or ECADIN. Today's webinar is the first episode of MKI Smart Grid webinar series out of 10 episodes hosted by the Indonesian Electrical Power Society or Masyarakat Ketenaga Listrikan Indonesia, MKI, taken place in April 2021 till January 2022. Motivated by many studies that confirm smart grid bringing, huge benefits to shape a better future with cutting-edge energy technologies, today's webinar will feature Indonesian government representatives and experts from around the world on how recent advancement and current trends in smart grid technologies. Webinar rules. Okay, before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's webinar. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into Q&A box at any time during the presentation. Please mention your name / organization and to whom the questions are posted. We will then collect the questions and address them during our Q&A session. And there will be 2 Q&A sessions in this webinar. There will also an attendance form posted on chat room on Zoom and live chat on YouTube. Please fill in. You will receive an e-certificate for this webinar participation via email within 5 working days at the latest. The webinar presentation materials will also be sent to you by email. And this webinar is also live streamed via YouTube channel MKI IEPS and remains there after this event finished. And please see the slides showed here about the detailed agenda of this webinar. We will have an opening speech delivered by Bapak Wiluyo Kusdwiharto, Chairman of Indonesian Electrical Power Society or Masyarakat Ketenaga Listrikan Indonesia, MKI, followed by a keynote speech by Bapak Jisman Hutajulu, Director of Electricity Program Development of Directorate General of Electricity, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of Republic of Indonesia. And then afterwards, a representative of PLN, Bapak Zainal Arifin will present, followed by Mr. Woh Yun Huang from Jeju Energy Corporation and KEPCO, and Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnar from Think Smart Grid. And then we will have the first Q&A session about 30 minutes, starting from 15:18 Jakarta time. And we will then have a break around 10 minutes for enjoying videos from our speakers. And afterwards, a representative of Huawei, Mr. Hu Hao, will present, followed by Mr. Alexander Odalov from Hitachi ABB Power Grids and Mr. Markus Schuller from Siemens AG Germany. Then we will have our second Q&A session, also about 30 minutes. And around 5:15 Jakarta time, we will finish our today's webinar. And as a request from the organizing committee, we will have a photo session with all speakers. So please, all speakers, switch on your camera for a while. We will count down 3 to 1 for taking a picture together, please. I think we are about ready. All speakers switch on camera. Yeah, please, team, could you just prepare for documentation? Then I will count down 3, 2, one. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay, now we can start, I suppose. As mentioned earlier, we will have an opening speech by Bapak Wiluyo Kusdwiharto, Chairman of the Indonesian Electrical Power Society or Masyarakat Ketenagalistrikan Indonesia, MKI. And without further ado, I would like then welcome Bapak Wiluyo Kusdwiharto to deliver the opening speech for the first episode of MKI Smart Grid webinar series entitled Smart Grid Implementation Strategy in Indonesia. So please, Bapak Wiluyo, the Zoom is then yours.
Thank you, Mbak. Yang terhormat Bapak Dirjen Ketenagalistrikan Kementerian SDM atau yang mewakili, yang kami hormati Bapak Ibu narasumber webinar siang ini, yang kami hormati para pengurus anggota MKI yang hadir pada acara webinar ini dan seluruh peserta webinar sekalian yang saya hormati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Pertama-tama tentu di tengah pandemi sekarang ini, kita wajib bersyukur kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Esa atas karunia kesehatan yang diberikan kepada kita semua, sehingga kita bisa melaksanakan acara webinar pada siang hari ini. Di samping itu, kepada Ibu dan Bapak yang sedang melaksanakan ibadah saum Ramadan, kami mengucapkan selamat menunaikan ibadah puasa. Webinar series Smart Grid ini diselenggarakan oleh Masyarakat Ketenagalistrikan Indonesia (MKI) dalam rangka melaksanakan program kerja tahun 2020-2023 yang diantaranya adalah program knowledge sharing, mempertemukan dan menyediakan wadah untuk berdiskusi di antara para pemangku kepentingan di sektor ketenagalistrikan, dan juga memberikan masukan dan saran kepada pemerintah Republik Indonesia mengenai teknologi terkini di era transisi energi. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Bapak Senda Hurmuzan yang dalam hal ini mewakili Bapak Dirjen Ketenagalistrikan atas waktu yang diluangkan untuk berbagi informasi mengenai kebijakan pemerintah terkait penerapan smart grid di Indonesia ini. Juga tidak lupa ucapan terima kasih dan penghargaan kami kepada para narasumber dari berbagai belahan dunia yang akan memberikan pandangan dan pengalamannya tentang penerapan smart grid di negaranya masing-masing. Bapak, Ibu peserta webinar yang saya hormati, adanya laju pertumbuhan ekonomi di Indonesia akan meningkatkan kebutuhan energi listrik. Kita tahu bahwa sebagian besar dari pemenuhan kebutuhan energi listrik saat ini dipenuhi dari energi fosil yang turut berkontribusi pada peningkatan efek rumah kaca. Dan ini menjadi salah satu penyebab global climate change. Pemerintah Indonesia sudah berkomitmen untuk melakukan transisi energi, yaitu secara bertahap dan terukur akan berpindah dari pemanfaatan sumber energi fosil menuju pemanfaatan energi baru terbarukan yang lebih ramah lingkungan seperti matahari, angin, biomasa, dan lain sebagainya yang ketersediaannya berlimpah di Indonesia. Mengintegrasikan sumber daya energi terbarukan yang melimpah tersebut ke dalam jaringan distribusi, baik skala besar maupun skala microgrid, menghadapi beberapa tantangan, seperti misalnya investasi awal yang relatif besar, intermitensi, masalah stabilitas, sampai ke potensi biaya tambahan dari proses integrasi dengan pembangkit-pembangkit konvensional. Tantangan ini perlu dijawab melalui pendekatan dari berbagai aspek, baik aspek teknologi, finansial maupun regulasi. Perkembangan teknologi harus dimanfaatkan dengan cerdas dan tepat. Perkembangan teknologi jaringan listrik cerdas atau smart grid atau desain jaringan kelistrikan yang menggunakan teknologi ICT merupakan upaya untuk mengoptimalkan pemanfaatan pembangkit EBT pada jaringan kelistrikan yang ada. Pendekatan teknologi lainnya mencakup cara peningkatan efisiensi operasi, keandalan layanan, pasokan yang berkelanjutan dengan tentunya menggunakan energi bersih. Bapak Ibu peserta webinar yang saya hormati, berbagai topik terkait desain dan strategi dalam menerapkan teknologi smart grid, berikut solusinya akan kita simak dan kita diskusikan pada webinar series smart grid ini yang berlangsung insya Allah dalam 10 episode. Semoga keseluruhan diskusi ini kita dapat bermanfaat bagi sektor ketenagalistrikan Indonesia untuk mendorong percepatan recovery dan pertumbuhan perekonomian kita setelah mengalami kondisi yang melambat akibat pandemi COVID-19. Sebelum kami mengakhiri kata sambutan ini, atas nama MKI, kami mengucapkan terima kasih dan penghargaan yang setinggi-tingginya atas partisipasi dan dukungan para sponsor sehingga acara ini dapat berlangsung dengan baik. Selamat berdiskusi, semoga apa yang kita lakukan hari ini dan pada 9 episode selanjutnya senantiasa dalam keberkahan dan ridho dari Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Energi bersih semakin mengemuka, listriknya cukup dan handal. Acara webinar MKI saya buka, semoga lancar dan optimal. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Wiluyo, for the opening speech for the first episode of MKI Smart Grid Webinar series out of 10 episodes hosted by the Indonesian Electrical Power Society or Masyarakat Ketenaga Listrikan Indonesia or MKI. Taken place in April 2021 till January 2022. Now we would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Bapak Senda, a representative of Directorate General of Electricity, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of Republic of Indonesia. And without further ado, I would like then welcome Bapak Senda to deliver the keynote speech. So Bapak Senda, the Zoom is yours.
Terima kasih Mbak Desti. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang saya hormati Bapak Wiluyo Kusdwiharto, Ketua Umum Masyarakat Ketenagalistrikan Indonesia, pembicara moderator, Bapak, Ibu, dan hadirin yang berbahagia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Pertama-tama kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa atas rahmat dan karunia-Nya pada hari ini kita dalam keadaan sehat walafiat sehingga dapat berkumpul pada acara Smart Grid Implementation Strategy in Indonesia. Bapak Ibu hadirin yang berbahagia, pemerintah Indonesia terus-menerus berupaya menyediakan tenaga listrik kepada masyarakat sebagaimana yang telah diamanatkan oleh Undang-Undang tentang ketenagalistrikan untuk menyediakan listrik yang handal dan dengan harga yang terjangkau. Pemerintah menyadari bahwa topografi Indonesia terdiri dari ribuan pulau dan tantangan untuk dapat melistriki dengan baik khususnya wilayah 3T, terdepan, terpencil, dan tertinggal. Namun hal ini tidak menyurutkan semangat pemerintah untuk meneruskan upaya inovasi agar dapat melistriki saudara-saudara se-Nusantara dari Sabang sampai Merauke, dari Miangas sampai Pulau Rote. Capaian rasio elektrifikasi Indonesia akhir tahun 2020 mencapai 99,2%. Hal ini merupakan lompatan besar dari tahun 2000 yang lalu. Beberapa strategi penyediaan tenaga listrik yang dilakukan adalah dengan pendekatan grid dan off-grid. Khusus untuk daerah 3T, strategi yang dilakukan adalah grid extension untuk wilayah yang dekat dengan extend grid, memanfaatkan energi baru terbarukan setempat dengan membangun jaringan komunal bagi masyarakat yang hidup komunal dengan bantuan baterai storage atau tabung listrik untuk masyarakat hidup tersebar yang scatter. Smart grid adalah digitalisasi untuk di semua infrastruktur ketenaga listrikan baik pembangkit, transmisi, dan distribusi. Selain itu, teknologi smart grid memungkinkan partisipasi pelanggan dalam penyediaan tenaga listrik dengan memasang pengukur pintar, komunikasi dua arah, Ke depan konsumen akan bertransformasi menjadi prosumer atau konsumen yang mampu menghasilkan listrik sendiri secara mandiri baik dengan solar, home system maupun mikrohidro. Penerapan smart grid di Indonesia telah tertuang dalam Rencana Umum Ketenagalistrikan Nasional atau RUKN. Dari RUKN, banyak manfaat smart grid antara lain lebih efisien dalam distribusi listrik, pemulihan gangguan yang lebih cepat, mengurangi biaya operasi, mengurangi beban puncak, meningkatkan integrasi energi terbarukan, khususnya FRE, Variable Renewable Energy, integrasi yang lebih baik dari pembangkit milik konsumen, termasuk energi terbarukan dalam sistem tenaga, dan peningkatan keamanan sistem tenaga listrik. Bapak Ibu hadirin yang berbahagia, dengan penggunaan smart grid banyak keuntungan yang didapat Indonesia, diantaranya membantu pencapaian target energi terbarukan sebesar 23% di tahun 2025. Peningkatan integrasi FRE yang akan mendorong penyebaran target energi terbarukan dalam bauran energi, dan peningkatan pembangunan infrastruktur tenaga listrik termasuk stasiun pengisian kendaraan listrik atau SPKLU dalam penciptaan permintaan demand baru untuk mengatasi masalah kelebihan daya. Teknologi smart grid merupakan teknologi yang relatif baru di Indonesia, dimanfaatkan sebagai salah satu upaya mempercepat elektrifikasi. Pemerintah telah mengamanatkan melalui Peraturan Presiden Nomor 18 Tahun 2020 tentang Rencana Pembangunan Jangka Panjang Menengah Nasional atau RPJMN 2020-2024 dengan target 5 sistem setiap tahunnya sampai tahun 2024. Pengembangan smart grid dicantumkan dalam Grand Strategi Energi Nasional dan dalam draft RUPTL PLN yang sedang dalam tahap finalisasi. Melalui regulasi tersebut, pemerintah Indonesia mendorong modernisasi dan pemutahiran sistem kelistrikan di Indonesia, sehingga penetrasi pembangkit listrik berbasis energi terbarukan dapat ditingkatkan. Bapak Ibu hadirin yang berbahagia, PLN sebagai operator sistem ketenaga listrikan di Indonesia, sejalan dengan pemerintah Indonesia menerapkan target smart grid dalam rancangan rencana bisnisnya. Sampai saat ini, PLN telah berhasil melakukan modernisasi infrastruktur ketenaga listrikan, termasuk digitalisasi seperti pemasangan Advanced Metering Infrastructure atau AMI pada sejumlah rumah tangga di Jabodetabek. Pengaplikasian teknologi digital substation pada gardu induk Sepatan 2. Prediksi analitik pada unit pembangkit fase 2, Remote Engineering, Monitoring, Diagnostic dan Optimization Center atau REMDOC di PT PJB dan REOC di PT Indonesia Power. Dari draft RUPTL 2021-2030, PLN akan membangun smart grid di beberapa lokasi di Indonesia, diantaranya Smart Community Project, implementasi Automatic Dispatch System, Smart Microgrid, S1 Metering Infrastruktur, implementasi trafo digital, dan sistem jaringan pintar lainnya. Namun perlu penajaman dalam penyusunan roadmap smart grid di RUPTL sehingga jumlahnya lebih banyak setiap tahunnya. Saya mengapresiasi dukungan dari berbagai stakeholder khususnya masyarakat ketenaga listrikan Indonesia atau MKI yang telah membantu pemerintah dalam mengidentifikasi dan menyatukan persepsi mengenai strategi pengembangan smart grid di Indonesia. Kami mengharapkan dukungan yang berkelanjutan untuk terus mengembangkan smart grid maupun teknologi baru lainnya di masa depan. Dibutuhkan kerja yang luar biasa dan sinergi yang baik dalam mengimplementasikan program smart grid agar tercapai target-target yang ditetapkan. Kami berharap dalam webinar ini Bapak dan Ibu dapat mendiskusikan dan memberikan pemikiran konstruktif terhadap pengembangan smart grid. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Direktur Jenderal Ketenaga Listrikan, Dida Mulyana. Terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you, Bapak Senda, for the keynote speech on smart grid implementation strategy in Indonesia. And as delivered by Bapak Senda, it's currently important to identify a number of strategies for smart grid development in Indonesia due to huge benefits of smart grid. And for sure, it needs hard work and solid yet, sustainable synergies or, collaborations to shape a better future with cutting-edge energy technologies through smart grid. Thank you once again, Bapak Senda, for the keynote speech. And as a reminder, the attendees have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into Q&A box on Zoom or via live chat on YouTube at any time during the presentation. But please mention your name/organization and to whom the questions are posted. We will then collect the questions and address them during our Q&A sessions. Okay, so let's move to our next agenda, which is a presentation from a PLN representative, Bapak Zainal Arifin. But before the presentation begins, allow us to read a brief biography of Bapak Zainal Arifin. Bapak Zainal Arifin received bachelor degree from Institut Teknologi 10 November and MBA in Operation Management from University of Missouri and doctoral degree from Universitas Indonesia in Strategic Management. Responsible for technology assessment, engineering study, and in-house innovation, Bapak Zainal Arifin is currently a team leader of Smart Grid PLN and EVP Engineering and Technology PLN, as well as a lecturer at Institut Teknologi PLN and Universitas Indonesia. And without further ado, I would like then to welcome Bapak Zainal Arifin to deliver a presentation on PLN Smart Grid Roadmap. So please, Bapak Zainal Arifin, the Zoom is yours in about 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mbak Desti. Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. I would like to share with you all about what is the planning of PLN for implementing smart grid in Indonesia. So I would like to start with the macro global perspective. If we talk about the smart grid roadmap, we can look that every country, every utilities has their own smart grid roadmap is different. So for example here, USA, the main driver of smart grid is for reducing emission reduction, for increasing distributed resources, to increase grid security, to increase renewable energy penetration, and also to increase 100% customer participation. But in other country, the smart grid driven is different. For example, here is Canada. The smart grid is driven by the need to increase the power quality, reliability, optimal usage, and the cost efficiency. What I would like to say that the roadmap of smart grid is depend on the objective, the target of smart grid for each utility, for each country. So there is a difference between among the country and between utilities in the world. How about Indonesia? So actually, why we move to smart grid? Because we have some energy challenge in Indonesia. The first thing is we still struggle about the efficiency of our operational because losses of our transmission distribution is still relatively higher comparing to the Southeast Asian country, even comparing to the global performance. And also the LCOE, the electricity cost production is still relatively high. And then number two, we also still struggle how to improve reliability of our electricity services. The quality of our product is still very low comparing to other Asian country. And we also have new challenging, not only about efficiency and reliability, but also how we provide electricity in form of clean energy. So we should also to reduce CO2 emission. And the last one is about sustainability. Because if we look at to the fuel mix energy of Indonesia, still dominated by fossil fuel. Almost 9% is dominated by fossil fuel. The largest is coal, 62, 66, 66, yeah, and also gas and fuel oil. The renewable energy fuel mix is still 11 to 12% so far. Instead of the challenging issue we should solve here, we also should overcome the global issue about energy transition. So we have three main drivers here. The one, digitalization. The two is decentralization. Of course, the three, decarbonization. Along with the exponential growth of renewable energy in the world. So the decarbonization push electricity operator to make the grid more flexible in order to be able to connect with the renewable energy smoothly. And also, along with the distributed power generation exists in the market, the customer start to have choice, to have an option, not only consume the electricity, but also be able to produce the electricity back to the grid. So welcome to the era of prosumer, decentralization. And digitalization is a famous term. Yeah, we often hear the term of 4.0 industry. So we should utilize, use this digitalization to improve efficiency, reliability, and resiliency through automation and digitalization along the supply chain of utility industry. So instead of the challenging of energy in Indonesia, we also should address the energy transition we face it right now. So based on those situations, we try to put smart grid function at least has six basic main function, main function for asset utilization, renewable energy and distribution energy integration, reliability and power quality, self-healing, customer engagement, and new product and services to align with the smart grid component, to align with the value chain along the electricity production. We can align and choose what the energy transition is connected the main function with the value chain of the utility production. Of course, we should look also to the smart grid architecture. Before we create a roadmap, we should look at to the architecture of a smart grid issued by IEC in 2018. The smart grid is we can see here that smart grid actually the huge concept. If we talk about the electric vehicle, e-mobility is only part of smart grid here. If we talk about the smart meters, advanced metering infrastructure is also only part of the smart grid here. And smart grid need some infrastructure also, need a backbone, need ICT infrastructure. And of course, because smart grid is about interconnectivity, about the interoperability from several devices, from several systems. So we should have cross-cutting function. We should regulate the interoperability. Instead of technological thing, smart grid also regulate the business model of energy market. So we can look here that smart grid also regulate about wholesale energy market, about enterprise, about the operator, and also regulate retail energy market. So what I would like to say that smart grid is not technological thing. It's also policy. It's also about the market, and also the smart grid is huge concept. For regulating the smart grid, IEC has published more than 300 standards. If we look deeper technically, we can use this picture arranged by A.T. Kearney, explain about the smart grid technically. So they divided the smart grid technology can be three main functions: to optimize grid monitoring and control, to enhance physical network capacity, and to enable active customer contribution. Based on the value chain, we will have smart centralized generation, smart transmission, smart distribution, and smart consumption. For each function, technical function, we will have several technologies here. We will have several choices for technology to support for each technical function of smart grid. So based on those, we also try to put the main function of smart grid. We already mentioned there is 6 main function, from enable informed participation to customer to capability about resiliency, and we can define the metric, the activity, what kind of activity we can put to the first agenda of us. For example, if we talk about the dynamic pricing, if we would like to achieve dynamic pricing, is mostly related to the enable informed participation by customer. If we would like to achieve real-time data sharing in our grid, is mostly related to the resiliency. So at least we have 21 choices of metric of action plan. So based on those, we try to define what the PLN or smart grid roadmap. We define the main benefit first for smart grid for each value chain of electricity industry. For example, for power plant or power generation, we smart grid can reduce CO2 emission, create better load curve, better asset utilization, can reduce number of peaker power plant, and we already define some main technologies here. And also because Indonesia has a little bit configuration of electricity, which is a little bit different with other countries, so we should also consider the grid configuration. In Indonesia, we have 7 or 8 high voltage grid system, 200 medium voltage grid, and also more than 900 low voltage of grid system. So for each grid need some certain technology, different solution. So to achieve the successful of smart grid implementation, smart grid should be put on the corporate strategy, corporate action. Last year, we already launched the PLN transformation, which has 4 main value: green booster, lean through digitalization, innovative product, and customer engagement. Based on that, we can look that some of smart grid program is already aligned with our corporate transformation. For example, here, smart grid related to address issue of decarbonization is already at the Green Booster initiative, one of the Green Booster initiative. Based on those conditions, so we create the roadmap of smart grid in Indonesia. So we divide it into 2 stages. The first is short term from 2021 right now, to the next 5 years. We focus on increasing reliability, efficiency, customer experience, and grid productivity. And after that, we will move to other smart grid feature to increase resiliency, customer engagement, and self-healing, and so on. So based on this roadmap for this short-term smart grid implementation in Indonesia, we have 6 main initiatives. Power plant digitalization for improving efficiency, substation automation and digitalization selectively for improving power quality, distribution grid management for improving reliability and faster response, EV charging station and e-mobility for EV ecosystem development, smart microgrid for increasing renewable energy penetration, at the same time also decreasing our electricity cost production at some isolated area. And the last one is EMI smart meter, advanced metering infrastructure implementation by clustering approach. Indeed, for each main initiative, we will have several programs. For example, here initiative 1, power plant digitalization. We have several programs here for this rollout advanced analytic. We will have several sub-programs about plant heat balance monitoring dashboard, performance index and forecast dashboard, combustion optimization monitoring dashboard, plant heat balance and combustion optimization. And this the number of our plant we choose by year to be digitalized. Yeah. And this initiative number 3 for grid distribution management. At least we have 3 program: distribution automation for zero downtime program, real-time losses monitoring, and fault detection and automation. Sometimes we call FLIR, fault locate, isolate, and recovery. This the number of unit of target, and this the target by year. And then the initiative number 4 about electric vehicle charging station and e-mobility. We already had a roadmap like this. So this year we want to build 168 EV charger station, and for building this, PLN cannot do alone. So we very welcome to you, everyone who would like to join to develop this market in Indonesia. So PLN only want to build 40% of them, and the remaining will be offered to other party, everyone. And initiative number 6 is about AMI, advanced metering infrastructure. And I'm sorry, that somewhat is still in bahasa, but right now for the AMI, advanced metering infrastructure, we ongoing to prepare for the pre-commercial. We have planning to install smart meters, two-way smart meters at 110,000 customers in 3 main cities, Jakarta, Bandung, and Surabaya. And after that, after the pre-commercial, we will go to the commercial rollout. Every year, maybe we will install 10 million like that.
Bapak,
so we can finally, we will arrive to the last page of my presentation. We have some conclusion. The number 1 is utility country actually has their own smart grid roadmap, with their own specific objective. So the smart grid technology selection will be based on the utilities main objective, the challenging issue, and also the grid configuration by region should be aligned with the smart grid function of metric. The number 2, the development on smart grid in Indonesia actually is to ensure the chilling of electricity supply about efficiency, reliability, resiliency, and sustainability, as well as to support the energy transition process, decarbonization, digitalization, and decentralization. And number 3, actually in line with the corporate transformation, PLN transformation, we already had some smart grid already aligned with this PLN corporate program, such as power plant digitalization, e-mobility, digitalization of transmission and distribution, microgrid, PLN mobile, and others. And the last one, at the short term, we already create the roadmap. For the short term, we focus on reliability, efficiency, customer experience, and grid productivity, with estimated investment we need is about 10 until 25 trillion Indonesia rupiahs. And the long term, we will focus on resiliency, customer engagement, sustainability, and self-healing, with an estimated investment cost is about 30 until 50 trillion Indonesia rupiah. I think that's all of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Back to the moderator. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bapak Zainal Arifin, for the interesting presentation on PLN Smart Grid Roadmap. Good to see some elaboration on energy challenges in Indonesia, particularly in the area of prosumers. And thanks as well, Bapak, for sharing some smart grid initiatives and sub-programs which are currently in line with corporate strategy of PLN on PLN transformation. And again, as a reminder, the attendees have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into Q&A box on Zoom or via live chat on YouTube at any time during the presentation. Please note your name, mention your name slash organization and to whom the questions are posted. We will then collect the questions and address them during our Q&A session. So let's move to our next agenda, which is a presentation from Mr. Woo Hyun Wong from Jeju Energy Corporation and KEPCO on smart grid performance and future in Korea. But before the presentation begins, allow us to read a brief biography of Mr. Woo Hyun Wong. Mr. Woo Hyun Wong received PhD in Industrial Information System from Seoul National University of Science and Technology. Up to 2020, he was a professor at Seoul National University of Science and Technology, and currently he is a CEO of Jeju Energy Corporation and Executive VP of KEPCO. He received a number of national awards, including industrial awards and 4-time minister prizes from the Korean government. Yeah, and without further ado, I would like then welcome Mr. Woo Hyun Wong for delivering a presentation on smart grid performance and future in Korea. So please, Mr. Woo Hyun Wong, the Zoom is then yours.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy Alcano. And I'm very happy today to share this information and technology about the smart grid performance in Korea. So I briefly explain now. Yeah, next. Next. Yes, this is very similar status in any other world. 2030, we have to do reduce the CO2 emission. Like this, different country, especially China, India, USA, EU, Russia, Japan, including Korea, you have to do reduce the carbon dioxide. Actually, Korea also we reduce the CO2 emissions 37%. There are lots of solutions, but in this case, we have to do reduce the fossil fuel generation and the CO2 emission. And then, but energy efficiency is very important and more efficiently improve from now. Next. So we are checking out our target in Korea, especially the government south side announced this target last July. Actually, already ongoing project this one, but 2020 we have to do install the photovoltaic and in the turbine 26.3 gigawatt. Finally, 2030, 58. And then more high challenge target, 2030, 78 gigawatt. It is almost half than we exist our generation capacity, including hydrogen city also new added one 2023 area and then 2025 6. Electric vehicle also now sharply increased in Korea too. So government side already announced this one 2030 3 million electric vehicle to install by 2030. Hydroelectric vehicle also 2025 200,000 electric hydrogen electric vehicle. And then local government especially try to restriction new internal combustion engine in Jeju local government case 2030. Seoul special city also 2030 will restrict this ICE. Next. You know, this is very symbolic map in Korea. Left side 2000 and the middle area 2018. Finally 2040, lots of electric vehicle, lots of renewable resources increase almost 30 and 35%. So we need to prepare from now more high technology and system. Next, please. Government side announced a very, very ambitious plan. And then by 2025, end of 2025, put in the budget $130 billion, especially the right side Green New Deal. Number 5, green transformation of urban space life infrastructure. And then building sites also green industries. And then 7, low carbon and distributed energy. That is very ambitious our government is challenge to now. Next. So there are 3 concepts item. One is Green New Deal. Second is Digital New Deal. Number 3, strengthen safety network. Especially policy and project. And then 10 policy. Among the 10 policy, number 1, green global renewable energy scale, clean new industry, clean environment. That is Green New Deal. So it is very influenced our power network side. Next. So what is the main smart grid core component and business model? There are 6 is part. 1 is smart energy city. 2nd is power grid platform, AMI and IoT. And then 4th, EV charging and V2G technology. So energy storage system and the renewables. It is very helpful to improve our power network and then our ecosystem too. Next. So in Korea, we started the smart grid testbed in 2009. I'll briefly introduce from now. First, started this project 2009, and 12 groups attended, 12 groups, 168 company. At that time, put in the budget almost $250 million. So there are 6 areas: smart power grid and the smart place, smart electric service, transportation, and renewables. At that time, you can got 153 technologies in the business models, such as AMI, EMS, electric vehicle charging, energy storage system, etc. Next. So 2009, at that time, there were any other smart grid component in this area, but very left side we have no electric vehicle too. So in the in the information center, we made the very initial stage electric charging system. But 2013, public side, the electric company, car makers published like this electric vehicle, very small side. At that time, electric vehicle could drive just 130 or 150 kilometer by one time full charge. Next. So try to microgrid, develop the microgrid. So we put in the all of smart grid technology near the Jeju Island. Very small size, 0.85 square kilometer, just lived 300 people. We installed the wind turbine, photovoltaic, ESS, and then dually EMS system. So nowadays, we got a very strong record, 132. Yeah, this year we have 7 days just to operated without diesel engine, just to use wind turbine, photovoltaic, ESS. Next. This is operation system. Next. And then another one, we need more commercialized energy storage system to develop this one also 2009, and the more big scale 2013, 8 megawatt we developed. 2015, finally, we installed the big size energy storage system for frequency regulation. Next. This one, kind of building energy management system we call the smart grid station. We installed lots of smart grid technology put in this building, can monitor how much electricity produced by small photovoltaic wind turbine, including ESS. Very useful to reduce the peak cut and improve the energy efficiency. Next. So this one implemented our full branch office, just 121. And then we can get a peak cut 5.9%. Consumption also reduced to 10.5%. Next. Another one, also we need more advanced electric vehicle charging station. We call the smart network system. At that time, we didn't have not much electric vehicle, so just could drive 150 kilometer. Nowadays, sharply changed. You can see right side bottom electric vehicle image. And then we installed lots of electric charging station in our full nationwide. Next. So this is AMI system, Advanced Meter Infrastructure Planning. Also started 2013, but almost finished by 2020, 100%. Left side bottom, we can check home data gathering to the MDMS using AMI system. Can reading and checking out real-time data application using personal smartphone. Next time. Next. This is frequency regulation energy storage system. We developed our initial stage for frequency regulation system, and then spread our full nationwide capacity size to 376 megawatt within 3 years. And then very helpful to reduce the frequency or voltage fluctuation. So now this is, we need more peak cut or stable, our renewable resources stabilizing. We need like this one too. Next. You know, all of the component technology developed using smart grid technology. At that time, another challenge put in the like this one site area. We have Human Resource Development Center. There are 9 buildings. There, HRD Center has 9 buildings. So put in all of technology, we finally get a good result. Peak cut 10%, and the power consumption reduced 10%. All costs save 10%. Next page. This one is very useful operation system of Human Resource Development Smart Town. Left above side, there is a 3D operation system can gather how many electricity produced by renewable resources was stored ESS, and then how many consumption, all of the things visualized and checking out very easily. Next.
Mr. Wong.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you,
This is the same one. This is the same one. Smart town. Next, please. Yeah, very similar operating system. Next one. We try to go to the all of technology put in smart city since 2015. Next, please. Electric vehicle also sharply increased. End of last year, we got 135,000 electric vehicle, and then charging system also sharply increased too. Next. So we have based on some code dilemma. I'll explain for you too. Next. Jeju government also has lots of renewables, and the electric vehicles efficiency increased like that by 2030. Next. And then now generation capacity 2.0 gigawatt and the peak 1.0. Curtailment is very sharply increased to 3.9. That is big challenge for us, including connected to mainland, but we have no choice yet. Next. So electric vehicle also sharply increased. Right side bottom, there is Jeju, 21,000 electric vehicle operate on the road. Next. So we have faced the 4 core dilemma. Curtailment increase and an unstable power grid, peak increasing by electric vehicle, and then decreasing benefit for renewable developers like that. How to properly solve this issue? Next slide. And then change the power grid before night. Most of electric company focus and agree this one. Next. So we heading to the new vision with renewable energy 300 mega energy city to build in Jeju. So at that time there are 4-point energy storage system in Jeju to solve out all of issues, including curtailment. Next. I'd like to share this policy and technology issue with the climate crisis. We don't stop install the wind turbine, photovoltaic, electric vehicle, LNG thermal plant, HVDC, smart T&D, and energy storage system. All of those things, including smart grid component, we should go to the overcome the climate crisis, and then prepare to post-industrial revolution and global warming prevent. I'm very sorry, not much time to explain more detail. Anytime next, you have any question, please send me by email. Next, please. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Woh Hyun Wong, for the interesting presentation on smart grid performance and future in Korea. Quite interested to see Korean government policy on smart grid development, smart grid test bed, and smart grid Quad 5, as well as Jeju carbon-free island vision. And yeah, as Yeah, again, as a reminder, the attendees have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into Q&A box on Zoom via live chat on YouTube at any time during the presentation. But please mention your name/organization and to whom the questions are posted. We will then collect the questions and address them during our Q&A session. So let's move to our next agenda, which is a presentation from Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnar from Think Smart Grid on Smart Grid Implementation Strategy, a French perspective. Sorry, I suppose I did wrong in pronouncing your last name, but I did my best. But yeah, before the presentation begins or starts, allow us to read a brief biography of Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnar. She is a communication and executive MBA graduate. She has worked and lead a communication director in a number of public structures and joined the energy sector since 15 years ago. She's currently the managing director for the professional association, namely Think Smart Grid, established in 2015. So without further ado, I would like then welcome Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnar from Think Smart Grid to deliver a presentation on Smart Grid Implementation Strategy, a French perspective. So please, Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnar, the Zoom is then yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me at this very interesting webinar dedicated to smart grids. So I will explain you what is the smart grids implementation strategy in France and what we've been doing till now. So, is that okay now? Yeah. So our association Think Smart Grids is gathering all the stakeholders in the field of smart grids in France, and it is currently chaired by Ms. Legnaud. Ms. Legnaud is also chairman of the ENEDIS management board. So today the smart grids market is about more than estimated to about 100 billion euros worldwide, and we believe France has got more or less 10% of the global market share. Each year, we are investing more than 130 million euros in R&D. Smart grids represent also more than 20,000 direct jobs in France today. And we've been implementing more than 120 smart grids demo projects. So who are our members? Our members are large groups, SMEs, labs, schools, universities, and we have also two observing members, the Energy Regulation Commission and the French state through the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of the Energy Transition. So we are used to present the know-how of our members through these 6 topics: network management and exploitation, new uses, and here we can find the integration of electrical vehicle, integration of renewable energies and resources, role of the prosumer, and here we find the solution dedicated to self-consumption, flexibility, and smart metering and multi-metering, use of data, and research and expertise. So what are the main evolution on the grid and in the behaviors of the citizens that are directly impacting the grid? First of it is the electrical vehicle. So in France, last year, it's more than 111,000 EV cars that have been bought. So it has doubled since 2019. So it's a really very important increase of the EV implementation in France. Self-consumption. In last year, more than 221 megawatts have been generated through the self-consumption installations in France. And we believe that in 10 years, we will have more than 4 million installations of self-consumption and about 10 gigawatts of installed power. Integration of renewable energies. I will come back to this topic. Digitalization. Obviously, today the main challenge of the utilities, either TSO or DSOs, is to digitalize everything in order to provide a better service to the customer. Storage. The storage will significantly impact the grids, especially storage also in order to have more renewable energies on the grid and decrease the CO2 emissions part. And more globally, more performance of our grids, performance of the transmission system operator and of the distributor across through the use of the smart metering. And we are very proud in France of our Linky smart meter. So coming back to the global framework, what about the renewable energies part in France? Mostly the energy installations, the renewable energy installation are connected to the distribution network and then affecting the distribution network, but there are also some consequences on the transmission. Last year, more than 27% of electricity consumed was from renewable sources. So you know that in France, we've got a vast majority of nuclear energy in our mix energetic, but we also have a huge part of hydroelectricity, thanks to the mountains, and also wind and solar. So all this mix of generation allows us to have a very low CO2 emissions per capita. So we have only 4.4 tons of CO2 emissions for per capita in tons, which is very low. And so we are the first country in Europe and maybe in the world to pretend that. What about a typical consumption day? Here you have some data from the RTE website. And you can see that last month, in February 2021, about 30% of the electricity generated was from renewable sources. The basis is the nuclear, but the color blue and brown is about renewable energies. And every day during the weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8 in February, this was the consumption production, in France, and it comes from renewable. It means that it is obviously a big challenge for our grids. So how did we develop these smart grids, let's say, roadmap in France? So the first applications were in 2006, more or less, and in the 2008, the ADEME, which is the French agency for the energy transition, has launched many calls for projects in order to develop smart grids in France. So this was the first call for in order to increase the innovation in this sector. In 2013, the French government has been asking to the French to the chairman of RTE to provide a smart grid roadmap. So Mr. Maya has been gathering around him more than, at the beginning, 50 players, and a roadmap has been created, proposing first to have a place in order that all stakeholders can discuss, have synergy together, and increase also their expertise. And it was 6 years ago with the creation of the Think Smart Grids Association. In the roadmap, there was also the proposal to upscale the different smart grids demo project, and a call for interest has been done by ADEME with the French government, and 2 regions have been selected, the Brittany and Pays de la Loire region through the SMILE Association, and the French Riviera around the Nice in the south of France with the Flex Grid project. So today we are now in the industrialization of the smart grids solution, and you can see also that from 2005 till today, it will be fully implemented and achieved today. Our program of smart metering will be completely finished, and 35 million smart meters will be implemented. What about the cost-benefit analysis? Our members have been performing a study 4 years ago in order to understand what will bring the smart grids to the global energy system. So the result is a gain of 400 million euros yearly from 2030, thanks to the smart grid solution. And where is this benefit? This benefit comes from the fact that we will avoid the cost of combustible and CO2, and also the cost of generation capacities that will be avoided, because we will gain more and more flexibility on the grid, thanks to the smart grid solutions, and also thanks to a better usage of renewable energies. What about our R&D priorities? So the main goal today regarding our grids is to increase their competitiveness and their efficiency, as well as their digital integration. In order to achieve this energy transition, that is an important goal of the French government. And in order to be more competitive and to have more digital integration, we have to solve 4 different issues. That is to say, increasing our resilience through new communication functions, new grid architecture, improve the quality of service through grid automation, for example, develop electricity access, and this is important for the isolated grids with renewable energy sources, and also increase the local economic growth, which is important for our the implementation of the smart meter.
Excuse me, Ms. Valerie, you have 3 minutes to go.
Okay, so I will present you just 3 use cases. First use case is about the island of Saint. It's in Brittany. Here, this island will be fully autonomous in energy in 10 years. So this island has got already PV panels and a wind turbine, and there's also a lithium-ion storage system implemented with an EMS and smart meters. And it's a project implemented by EDF for the SMILE Association with Enedis, which is a main French DSO, and a local DSO. Second project is about battery and storage, a project performed by SAFT, which is a subsidiary of Total. SAFT has been working in the Faroe Island, and the idea is to store more and more renewable energies from the wind farm. So this wind farm has been installed in 2015, and a 2 megawatt battery has been implemented by SAFT. And it's obviously it's reducing and controlling the short-term variability of wind generation. Third use case is about how to increase renewable energy integration, and this is a project of Omexom, which is a subsidiary of, a brand from Vinci Energies. Here, Omexom has been providing a synchronous condenser unit because the issue was to solve the network instability, and the network was unstable because there was more and more massive renewable energy penetration. So it was necessary to reduce it, and this synchronous condenser unit has been enabling it. So I will finish just saying a few words about the Blinky smart meter. I told you already, 35 million smart meters implemented for a global cost of 5 billion euros, total investment that will be fully implemented at the end of the year. Our presence in Southeastern Asia, we have two partnerships, one with the Nanyang Technology University that has enabled us to implement a microgrid on the Semakau Island. Semakau Island is just between Indonesia and the mainland of Singapore. And you can still going to visit it maybe in the next months. It's the EDF R&D team who is making the visit of it. It's very interesting. You have PV panels, you have a vehicle-to-grid charging station, smart metering. And we are also, regarding Indonesia, we are very proud to have this partnership with PLN, with the support of the French embassy. The first signature of the partnership was in 2016. And this is my last slide. I think here all the participants and the panelists are convinced that smart grids are the backbone of the energy transition worldwide. Thanks to the recovery plans, there will be more and more euros dedicated to the investment in wind PV as well as in grid solution. In France, we are now discussing the allocation of several hundreds of millions of euros in the system, in the global system. And we are also very proud as an association to be one of the first players worldwide to have made some recommendation on smart grids for the French recovery plan. Terima kasih.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Valerie Anne Lensnar from Think Smart Grid for the interesting presentation on smart grid implementation strategy, French perspective. Interested to see a number of French smart grid solution as well as several or a number of use cases on renewable energy and smart grid development in France. And yeah, couldn't agree more that smart grids are the backbone of energy transition. Okay, it's then now time for the first Q&A sessions. We're now going to take questions from Q&A box on Zoom and live chat on YouTube. So we invite Bapak Senda. Are you still there, Bapak Senda, or representative of DJK? I don't think so. I have searched. And Bapak Zainal Arifin, Mr. Woh Yun Wang, and Miss Valerie Anne Lensnar to switch on the camera. Yeah, and as a reminder, the webinar participants can still submit questions through Q&A box on Zoom and live chat on YouTube. There are, yeah, so many questions we need to pick up, but then I think for the first questions, we should post it for Pak Zainal. Bapak Zainal, there's questions like that, Bapak. What's the main challenges for implementing smart grid in Indonesia?
Okay, I will answer. Yeah, if we look at to the recent situation for implementing smart grid in Indonesia, we have some basic challenging issue. Yeah, the first thing is about technical thing. So the grid itself in Indonesia is not flexible yet. Yeah, because we can look that the contribution for power generation in this case is coal-fired power plant is still dominated, and we know well that the coal-fired power plant has less flexibility. The coal-fired plant have no capability for ramp up, ramp down quickly. Yeah. So this the one of the technical challenging issue for the smart grid implementation. And also the technical thing is also about the policy. About for example, so far in Indonesia we have no demand response policy. So it's make the energy transaction, the energy supply demand is not flexible yet. And the second thing is about the business model itself. Yeah, if we look at in Indonesia case, for example, the pricing of electricity is still flat, still rigid, not dynamic pricing. It's not interested for utilize such storage energy like battery energy storage. We will have no benefit for implementing this storage, because the tariff is still flat, still rigid, not dynamic. And also the business model of electricity in Indonesia is long term. For example, if we look at to the PPA, power purchase agreement between IPP with PLN, based on the long-term contract, 25 years. So during the contract, the long-term, if we have some opportunity to utilize such cleaner and cheaper technology, it's not easy to put to the long-term contract like that. And right now, our situation is overcapacity. It's very challenging for us. Yeah, how we can put the renewable energy integration with the overcapacity market, dominated by long-term IPP coal-fired power plant. That's I think the main challenging issue for implementing smart grid in Indonesia.
Yeah, thank you, Bapak. So I just summarize technicality, business model on pricing and pricing scheme, Bapak, as well as the current condition we have in Indonesia is overcapacity in the majority of the areas that we do have so huge population. Then we can go to the next questions on. Oh yeah, for Mr. Woo Yun Wong, there's a question about the digital transformation you have mentioned. So what's next on the digital transformation you're building now? Have you had such a pilot project or implementation on real-time pricing scheme? And how important is to design real-time prices properly?
Thank you for asking, and very important question for us, this one. And the digital transformation to the building side, and a lot of types of technology and an application we have. And in KEPCO side, try to develop more efficiently real types of building energy management system to reduce the peak cut and power consumption, and then put in all of the smart technology such as photovoltaics, wind turbines, and some AMIs, ESS including too. At that time, you usually monitored lightings and some including cooling system too. But real-time pricing, that is depending on we need regulation. At that time, that is depending on the government side. Nowadays, checking out and discuss with many stakeholders too. Not yet. In the near future, especially July in this year in Jeju Island also lived 700,000 people in here. So government side try to TO, time of use, especially including all of household installed almost installed AMI system, and then kind of pilot real-time pricing regulation checking out in Jeju side. After that, implemented to the nationwide. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the response or answer, Mr. Woo-Hyun Wong. Next, we got questions for Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnor. Considering your projects, what are the main barriers to demand-side flexibility?
Well,
yeah.
Challenging question. Maybe it's we should tell that one of the main challenge in order to increase the flexibility is an increased synergies between all the stakeholders. I mean, as well as the generators, people generating renewable energies, small producers, but also huge farms. They have to increase their synergy either with a distributor and also with a TSO, together with the aggregators. All this will be led through digitalization. So I believe that today, in order to increase flexibility, the digitalization and the data collection and AI can significantly help us. But I would say that the main challenge is to succeed, to gain in synergies with all these different expertises.
Yeah, thanks. Quite interesting to also hear such a number of, new actors like aggregators, or I heard also about balancing responsible parties, maybe also something about, something has to do with flexibilities, to increase flexibilities in our new energy markets. Thank you, Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnor. Go back to Bapak Zainal Arifin. Bapak, there are still many questions, don't worry. From Mr. Supano, IEEE Indonesia, Bapak Zainal Arifin. Has the PLN Smart Grid Roadmap already headed to Industry 4.0, Bapak?
Yes, yeah, we already and still continue, to reach the goal for 4.0 industry and our system. For example, right now we already launched the digital procurement. We also launched the power plant digitalization with so many programs like predictive data analytic for coal-fired power plant, centralized And also we now still ongoing to make some distribution and transmission automation based on the digital substation. And also we already done with several pilot projects for smart meters to waste. Yeah, we call it AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure. And this year we go to the next step. We try to implement for the pre-commercial at least 110,000 customer for the pre-commercial. So those all is about digitalization and NPLN, and not only for the power generation, but also for the customer, also the transmission, distribution, and also for the corporate. It's mean for our office, yeah, like the business processes inside PLN, like digital procurement. I think yes, we on the track to the era of 4.0 industry digitalization.
Yeah, thanks, Pak Zainal Arifin. And yeah, we have questions for again Mr. Woh Yun Wong on your page 17. Among all components on smart grid station BD, which component does mainly contribute to increase peak cut?
Yeah, thank you again for question. Yes, smart grid station. That's very one of the most important thing is EMS system, because already put in the lots of component, but organized and monitored, controlled with EMS system, and then checking out all of status, each rooms or some plugs that need or are not checking out automatically. So some of people, especially and employees without in the room at that time, automatically turn off all of plugs like that too. So at that time, when I developed this EMS system, and the private sector's company like that, very typical to how to automatically checking out all of component, and then especially turn off to just one or some of area same time. That is very important thing for us. Nowadays, very general, common technology there too. Thank you.
Thank you for the response, Mr. Woh Yun Wong. And we just got questions for Ms. Valerie Anna Lensnor from Yasser Wahyudin. I believe that in France, smart grid success indicators are defined through the mass installation of Linky. So about right now, he said 35 million of Linky by the end of 2021, which is this year. Could you please share to us what is the current state of Linky in France, and how about the social movement that refused Linky regarding its household sanitary issue? And one more question. Does Linky smart meter play an important role in integrating renewable energy there in France?
Thank you for your question. First of all, I want to say that of course we are very proud of this Linky project, but it's not the only indicator KPI about this development of smart grids in France. It's one of them. Anyway, today we have been installing implementing more than 30 million of Linky smart meters. So before the end of the year, all the program will be achieved. So about 35 million will be implemented at the end of the year. And yes, you are right. In France, there have been lots of people demonstrating or refuting the smart meter. You know that in France, people are used, to protest. It's in our national culture. So I believe that every time there is a big change happening, people are suspicious. So a huge work about convincing people of the usage of the interest of this project have been undertaken by Enedis, the main French DSO implementing the smart meter, with many meetings organized in the cities, with also many meetings with the local authorities, majors. Yeah, and then what has happened is that today we do not have any more people protesting or demonstrating. So I think it's this communication, let's say, commitment of Enedis has really been paid of success. Regarding your last question about what is the role of the smart metering with the renewable energy, it's very important because today, when you want to have your self-consumption installation, you can use your smart metering, your Linky smart metering. So today, you do not have to create another installation. Everything is can be used through the smart metering, either injection or either also consumption. And this is very useful. And I really believe that it has contributed to make accept the smart metering in France. Thank you.
Thank you. Inspiring. Yeah, we can go back then to Mr. Zainal Arifin, Bapak Zainal Arifin. Well, the rest of the questions are in Indonesia, Bapak. So then I need to.
Yes, okay. Please think bahasa Indonesia ya.
Yeah, as from Bapak Made Rosakya, MKI, Bapak. As I know, PLN transformation program. Well, one of them is anti-blackout, Bapak. And also there is a development of the
dispatching office
for control the load, Pak.
Dispatching load office ya. Okay, I will answer. Maybe it's better in bahasa ya. So anti-blackout sebenarnya ada di program transformasi, tapi belum well structure, Pak Made ya. Jadi belum official dimasukkan ke program smart grid di PLN. Jadi sepertinya untuk anti blackout karena belum well structure, kita akan move program itu ke next step of smart grid di second stage-nya, yaitu berupa advance SCADA yang berupa tidak lagi kita mengandalkan SCADA, tapi sudah mengarah ke wide area monitoring, protection and controlling WAMPAC ya, based on Pasor Measurement Unit PMU in sub-digital substation. And also that's I think will answer ya the question. Jadi memang belum masuk dan kita programkan karena belum well structure di teman-teman baik di P2B, di dispatching load office ya, dan di work corporate juga, maka di smart grid itu masuk dalam stage kedua. Mungkin itu Mbak Desti.
Thanks Bapak Zainal Arifin, and yeah, there are still questions for the speakers from Yasser Wahyudin for Bapak Zainal Arifin again, Bapak. as a part of the implementation of smart grid in Indonesia, is there any test experience or R&D implementation? Well, R&D for smart grid implementation, Pak?
Yeah, I have read it. Yeah, so I can answer maybe in bahasa mix between bahasa and English. Yeah, so actually we have done with several pilot project. Yeah, before go to the rollout of the smart grid. For example, ya, for the smart microgrid, ya, kita sudah mulai sejak beberapa tahun yang lalu di Bilicenge, Nusa Tenggara, collaboration between BPPT and Japanese agency, ya, to develop the first smart microgrid in Indonesia in Bilicenge, NTT, ya, combining PV at the existing diesel with battery and also micro hydro, using of course IEPS, energy management system. And also instead of smart microgrid project, we have several pilot project of smart meters. Sudah banyak, mulai dari Bali itu dengan berbagai macam various communication technology di Bali, di Cengkareng, di Batam, kemudian di Jawa Timur, di Malang, itu mulai dari LoRaWAN, PLC, broadband PLC, RF, ya, kita coba semua. Itu pilot projectnya. Dan sekarang kita masuk ke pre-komersial. Dan juga kita pernah juga kolaborasi dengan NEDO, ya, Japanese Agency for Development, ya, to do some what we call it pilot project of smart community for the industrial estate in Cikarang. We try to simulate the demand response, yeah, for the industry. I think yes, we already done with several R&D pilot project, yeah, so far.
Yeah, Bapak. Thanks. Well, yeah, sorry, that was the last questions, I believe, due to the limited time we have for the first Q&A session. Not all questions are addressed, sorry. But yeah, we are now having a break about 10 minutes to enjoy our sponsors video. Then I will be back immediately afterwards.
Tide strongly believes the importance of environment protection and energy efficiency in order to achieve a sustainable future for mankind. Thus, our technological commitment will foster mutual betterment of our allied companies, customers, shareholders, and employees. Tide pledges to always hold our management philosophy and values at heart. Until now, the meter readers have had to do manual meter reading. This existing manual process is time and money-consuming work. This makes it hard for us to detect blackout and manage energy demands. And it makes us hard to manage loss during transmission and distribution. As a result, this existing manual process makes grid unsmarter. But Tide's end-to-end AMI solutions will connect the user with utility companies. Tide's intelligent AMI solutions will solve many problems from the existing manual process. We can reduce time and money spent metering manually. We can manage blackout and loss during distribution. We can do demand response, TOU. Finally, we can make grid smarter. AMI, service. Meter reading information of household is call-seated by modem and DCU. There are two types of smart meter, internal and external. Smart meter sends metering data to modem via serial communication. Modem sends metering data to DCU via PLC communication. DCU sends metering data to server via fiber optic and cellular network. on-time monitoring and detection of electrical loss. TOU, time of USA flexible tariffs. Connectivity to electric vehicle charging system. Connection of renewable energy and battery with bidirectional metering. Reliable collection rate improving, monitoring of power quality. Making grid smarter and more efficient. A hidden champion in the energy IoT solution industry. Tide.
The world of energy is changing. And change is good. It creates new opportunities. As long as we can adapt, the potential is endless. But in the world of energy, change can be difficult. It's fast and complex. And we still need to maintain grid stability and power quality, ensure cybersecurity, and provide affordable and reliable energy. Rise to the challenge. It's time to accelerate the change by driving energy intelligence. From the smartest way to control your grid, to the new opportunities at the grid edge, and across connected electrification solutions. Imagine the possibilities once the grids are truly smart. It will be possible to operate and maintain grids with confidence. Use data to create transparency and react quickly to whatever's next. Ensure an energy supply that meets every requirement. We at Siemens are driving energy intelligence, so you can master all the changes, today and tomorrow.
Siemens, ingenuity for life.
It's easy to be blinded by the urgent issues facing our planet. But to shut our eyes is not in our DNA. We look at problems not as one big challenge. We break them down into a spectrum of solutions. Leveraging our pioneering and digital technologies to co-create innovative solutions with our partners and customers across the entire value chain. Powering efficiency by creating a smarter, more flexible power grid. Powering resilience and reliability by digitalizing the energy value chain. Powering safety by enabling cyber-secure infrastructure for mission-critical sectors. Powering sustainability by integrating renewables into the power grid. We are two pioneers combining generations of expertise for a stronger, smarter, and greener future. Powering good for sustainable energy. Hitachi ABB Power Grids.
The courage to challenge the unknown world. The passion to make a beautiful evening. The delivery of hope to isolated areas. All are made possible by KEPCO. The symbiotic energy to create a better world is made by KEPCO.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, get back again to you. And now let's move to our next agenda, presentation being delivered by Mr. Hu Hao from Huawei. On building the future-ready power enterprise, road to a successful digital transformation. But before the presentation begins, allow us to read a brief biography of Mr. Hu Hao. Mr. Hu Hao received PhD degree from University of Minnesota and BUPT and EMBA from International Institute for Management Development, Switzerland. Previously, he was a director of ICT and strategic planning of European National Power Grid Operator, and currently he is a Chief Digital Transformation Officer of Electric Power Industry, Huawei. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Hu Hao from Huawei to deliver a presentation on building the future-ready power enterprise, road to a successful digital transformation. So please, Mr. Hu Hao, the Zoom is then yours.
Okay, thank you for the hosting. It's really my honor to come to this seminar to share some of my experience and Huawei's points, views about digital transformation, energy transition, especially on electric power industry. So the topic today is building the future-ready power enterprise, the road to a successful digital transformation. First of all, I would like to share some of my experience, and maybe the host, the lady, just already shared some words. And also for the past 3 and 4 years, I was a former director of ICT and strategy planning and director of digital transformation of European transmission operator. And before that, I worked for over 10 years in State Grid of China as the branch manager of technical management, and also merger and acquisition, and also for asset management in China for over 10 years. So today I would like to share some of my experience and my my thoughts about some hard words like energy transition, digital transformation, and also the green development about the carbon emission. So could you to the next page? Yes, the next. Yes, the next one, please. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is okay, this is a flash. So could you just click the right? Yeah, actually, from my point of view, the universe starts from two key drivers. The first one is energy, and the second one is information. So we can think about during our humans' history, we already had 4 energy revolution, from the dim to now we talk about the renewable energy, and also for the technical revolution. We already have 4th one from the very beginning. We have the information, we have the AI, we have the internet now. So actually we can see all our development of civilization of human beings, that's on our way. We already have lots of problems. And the carbon emission of environmental problem is maybe is the largest one, and now every country and enterprises is think about the carbon neutrality. Yes, the carbon neutrality. And also now, as you knew, China last year already submitted our carbon peak and neutrality announcement that we are going to have a carbon peak on 2030 and to take the carbon neutrality on 2060. But for this problem, we can think about we still need 2 directions to solve the problem about our environment. The first one is energy, and the next one is information. So for the energy side, we can think about the structure optimization to transfer from our traditional energy like oil, gas, to the new energy like PV, like solar, like wind, right? And the other direction is from our information technologies. Now we are going to use AI, big data, cloud computing, edge computing, several new technologies to help our planet to solve the carbon and the global warming problem, right? So now energy and the digital transformation is 2 key drivers for our planet to have a more green and cleaner future on the development road. So the next one, now the energy and digital transformation is the global consensus. And also you can see in China, now we already have energy new strategy. We call that 4 revolutions and 1 cooperation, including supplier from supply side and the consumption side, and also for technology, and also with our international cooperation in the future with all the other countries for the global energy transition. And in European Union, where I worked for several years, now EU is paved the way towards a new efficient and interconnected energy sector to drive by the twin goals of a cleaner planet and a stronger economy. Actually, from the European Union, they have a new strategy for the next 5 years. They call that digital and green transformation. these two targets are the key tasks of European Union for the next 5 years, especially on the energy transformation. And we can see from the Middle East of Saudi Vision, they have a new national actually transformation program called 2030. They are going to develop natural gas and new renewable energies, including solar, wind, and nuclear, to help the country to transform from a traditional oil supplier to a new energy supplier in the future. And also for digital transformation, as you knew, now our economy is critically supported by the digital technologies to help our life to be much beautiful. And also now in China, also back to China, we are going to promote digital industrialization and the industry digitalization from dual directions and to guide the in-depth integration of digital and the real economies. And also from European Union, from 2020 to 2025, they will continue efforts to secure for European countries and to help their economy to recover from green and digital transition. And also in Japan, actually, they are now think about to establish a dedicated digital transformation work group and organizations, especially focus on their society development and then other industries for the digital development in the next 5 years. So you can see from the global, for actually all countries, now we are considering actually energy and digital transformation from different levels. Next page, please. And actually now energy transition is rapidly promoted in all global regions. And this figure is from the World Economic Forum. You can see in different countries and areas, actually now we are promoted actually energy transition rapidly. And also for in this road, on the road of energy transition, we need to consider 3 key factors. The first one is our environmental sustainability, because now many times we are talking about the carbon neutrality. This is from the environmental side, and the other side is for our energy access and security. It's very important because everyone knows the power crisis happens in the United States, Texas state, right? Yes. Sometimes now we can see now extreme climate is very often is very often now in our world. So the energy security is always the first on the first level of our energy transition, especially for our power company and the government. And the third one is economic development and growth, because now in China we have a debate on the energy transition, because when we are talking about the carbon neutrality, many times we need to reduce the coal and traditional energy generation and the usage in the future. But actually in China, you know, the traditional energy is the major percentage actually for in our national energy structures. So in the future, we need to balance the 3 different directions and factors to choose the right way of our energy transition. Please, next. And we can see now from the other side, electric power industry is speed up actually in digital transformation, and this curve is from Gartner. You can see now electric power industry is on the fastest in actually phase of the curve compared to the other industries.
Hello, Mr. Hu Hao, are you still there? Hello, Mr. Hu Hao, or someone from Huawei, are you still there?
Hello, sorry, Mr. Wu Hao lost connect. He will join. He will join back after maybe 30 minutes. 13 seconds. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we're looking forward.
It's already connected, Ms. Hu Hao, already connected.
Okay. Mr. Hu Hao.
Yes. Is everything okay? Yeah.
Please continue then.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So now, when we are talking about digital transformation, is actually the very key. Is the keys of our industry and enterprise to achieve the future success and targets, especially from the strategy and the business, is quite important. So you can see, for our electric power industry, actually globally now, actually every companies now are talking about the digital transformation. So actually, Huawei is, as Huawei's points of view, we are now the major ICT and digital transformation supplier in the world. So we are always focused on this area to help our customer and partners to achieve the success of digital transformation. Okay, next. Yeah, so actually digital transformation is a very complicated system, actually is a very complicated stuff. And also when we're talking about the digital transformation, not everyone knows the definition concept of this transformation. So when we're talking about a complicated thing, we need a methodology, right? We need a framework. Yes, so now Huawei already have we call that energy period, energy pyramid. Yes, to help our customers and partners for digital transformation globally. That's in this methodology. We have 5 different factors. And the first one is vision. Yes, actually, in our opinion, the vision is quite important on the top of digital transformation, because in our opinion, the digital transformation is not just system building or some kind of IT stuff, because it should be a transformation and from the strategy, from business to our organization, our people, and technology, all the things together. So before we are talking about the digital transformation, we need our CEO to confirm our vision and our targets. So what direction we're going to go in the future? And this target and vision is the key in the whole process of the digital transformation of the world. And the second one is, we call that guarantees, because we need the digital literacy and the talent from IT, from business, and from data. Yes, when we are talking about digital transformation, actually is very complicated. So we need to combine the traditional IT people and business people, and we call that the data scientists together, because in the future, on the digital transformation phase, we need to think about the data governance and the data quality. Is very important, very important factor on the digital transformation. And
Mr. Hao, you have 2 minutes left.
Yep.
Excuse me. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. So, and the third one is, we call that 3 key processes, including the ring outside. You can see the planning, building, and operating. So in the planning phase, we need to have a blueprint. It's very important, because we need to think about the value we are going to take during the digital transformation phase. And then we need have some kind of something, sometimes we call that strategy plan for 5 years, and also business plan for every year, and then to break down from the plan to projects and with our investment. And all these projects should be focused on our vision. Is some kind of breakdown from our vision to our plan and then to our projects. And then in the building phase, we are more focused on the project management to control our, our cost, our schedule, our people, our resource, and also to share all our resources and focus on the digital transformation. And then in operation phase, we need to think about how we can, to take our values from the digital transformation, from business and the technology side. And the last one is very important. We need a digital foundation with ubiquity, connection, and platform, data governance, and also AI capability to support the vision, the success of our digital transformation. Okay, next one. And you can see now Huawei already upgraded its strategy focus on energy industry, including power and oil, gas, and also focus on industries, partners, resource, and capabilities to support our partner and customers for digital transformation. Please, next. And in this page, we are going to show you the smart grid blueprint of Huawei to support our digital transformation globally. And you can see from top to down is application scenarios from generation, transmission, transformation, distribution, consumption, and from with IT and OT. And also you can see from cloud, network, edge, and device, we have several different scenarios to support our digital transformation in different for our customers. For example, we have an intelligent power plant and a smart energy corporation, and also intelligent substation, and also intelligent and smart distribution management. And also for our IT side, we also have a data platform, video cloud, and also we have WeLink to support our OA process. And also we have several new models and new solutions to support our some kind of new business models like blend with operation and multi-station integration, data center, and cloud infrastructure service. So you can see now digital technology, we are going to use that to enable cleaner power generation, more flexible power grids, and more energy saving consumption and more efficient operation to build a new smart power system for the digital transformation based on new energy, and to support our business success for our partner and our customers.
Mr. Hu Hao, you have your time.
Yeah, the last one. Yeah. Okay. So the last one is our vision on future development. So from Huawei side, we are going to cooperate closely with our industry to achieve the carbon emission neutrality goals with energy and digital transformation, and to help our strategy and scenario, and also digital transformation global cooperation with technology innovation and efficient improvement with all our partner and friends, especially with Indonesia friends, actually, and our customers in the future. So we hope we can have better and closer cooperation in the future to support our digital transformation and also energy transition together to have a brighter future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hu Hao, for the interesting presentation on building the future-ready power enterprise road to a successful digital transformation. Interesting to see digital transformation methodology for energy industry, and how Huawei upgrades its strategy focused on energy industry, as well as Huawei's vision on future energy development. And again, as a reminder, the attendees have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenters by typing questions into Q&A box on Zoom or via live chat on YouTube at any time during presentation. Please mention your name / organization and to whom the questions are posted. We will then collect the questions and address them during our Q&A session. Yeah, and also please also fill in the attendance form posted also on chat room, Zoom, and live chat on YouTube. You will receive an e-certificate for this webinar participation via email, and the webinar presentation materials will also be sent to you by email. And yeah, so let's move to our next agenda, which is a presentation from Mr. Alexander Audalov from Hitachi ABB Power Grids on mastering the energy transition with power systems for the future. But before the presentation starts, allow us to read a brief biography of Mr. Alexander Audalov. Dr. Alexander Audalov received a PhD degree in electrical engineering from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne, Switzerland, and he's currently in charge for Hitachi ABB Power Grids program entitled Power Systems of the Future. In this role, he is leading a research team which investigates the mid and long-term implications of the ongoing changes in power systems worldwide. He serves as an international expert as well in ETIP, SNET, and SIGRE. And yeah, without further ado, I would like then welcome Mr. Alexander Audalov to deliver a presentation on mastering the energy transition with power systems for the future. So please, Mr. Alexander Audalov, the Zoom is then yours within 15 minutes.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, quite well.
Very good. Yeah, really excited. Thanks for the presentation, and really excited to be here today and having the opportunity to share our vision related to the global energy transition and the role of smart networks in this transition, where the term smartness covers, of course, the end-to-end levels of power systems, starting from the central generation, transmission, distribution, and grid edge, and essentially enables the integration of renewables and reliable and resilient and also efficient power supply. Oops. Okay. There are many governments around the globe who actually pledged the targets to reach carbon neutrality in several decades' time. And we see essentially the three major vectors to move in that direction, right? So first is related to the acceleration of a shift from fossil-based conventional generation towards more renewables, and mainly a new type of renewables like wind and solar. Second important pillar is the growing electrification of sectors which are not yet electrified, which are using fossil fuels. So this is related mainly to transportation we use today, to heating sector, to industry, to buildings, and so on. And the third important pillar, of course, is the use of additional complementary energy carriers, sustainable energy carriers, for the applications which cannot be directly electrified, right? So then when we talk about, for example, sectors like aviation, like long-haul shipping and so on, so this is, of course, a very essential. Of course, to implement all these, we believe that electricity networks will be a backbone of such transformation, right? Driven by the efficiency as well, of course, of the electricity direct use. And in order to achieve, of course, this complex transformation and realize this complex process, which is characterized by an enormous dimension with a big number of new players, small generators, and consumers, but also the need for additional capacity to supply the growing economies, we need a spectrum of new, let's say, digital, but also primary energy intelligent technologies, right, to facilitate this transition. And just to start, I also have this introduction slide showing basically supporting the message of how things are expected to move forward. So we see, of course, as the projections, a growth on different fronts, which are related to renewable sources, as I mentioned in the first as a first kind of pillar. So on the left side diagram, you see a projection of the increase of wind and solar generation in the total mix. So we call it VRES, or variable renewable energy sources, which may reach a level of 60 and even 60+% in the total generation mix. We see also in the middle one of the sectors, so the transportation sector, and specifically the passenger EV vehicle stock in Europe. So how this expected to grow. You can see actually the estimated amount of energy needs and also peak charging power, and compare it actually with the today's peak power of the European interconnected system and also the annual energy consumption. So it's not a negligible portion of the today consumption. And last but not least, on the right side, you see also the projections what may happen on the clean fuel side. So there is also an estimation of a significant growth in hydrogen demand, which will cover sectors beyond the today's sectors where hydrogen is used as a feedstock, and it will go in the direction of using hydrogen in transportation and buildings, for heating, in industrial processes, and so on. But what is also common, and as you can see as a bottom line message here, is that all these changes will result in the presence of more kind of time varying sources in the system, which are also interfaced via power electronics interfaces, right? So which are not synchronously electromechanically coupled, let's say, with the grid. And this is, I think, a very important physical characteristic. So here on the bar chart, you see a highest instantaneous shares of the wind and solar generation as a percentage of electricity demand in a specific countries. For example, in Denmark, due to the large installed base of wind generation, at some instances in time, wind production may exceed 150% the actual load at that moment in time, right? And of course, the question is, how is it possible, where all this energy goes? And of course, this is possible because Denmark is very densely interconnected with the surrounding countries like Scandinavia, like Central and Western Europe. And of course, at the moment of such excess production, this energy may flow to this region. So it gets a support from the neighboring countries. Of course, now, if we imagine a power system which is isolated and cannot easily send an excess energy to somewhere where you have a deficit, it may run into the problems, right? So when the share of renewables grows, and as I mentioned, mainly these new renewables are interfaced via power electronics, the problem will be that at certain share, you will start to face dynamic stability problems, like, for example, lack of inertia, which may result in much higher frequency deviations in terms of disturbances, which may trigger, of course, protection system of different components, and then it may basically lead to a cascading event, and finally even to a blackout of a system, right? If it's not compatible, if it's not flexible enough to deal with these cases. And when the share of renewables or these variable renewables even further increase, it may result in phenomena when, for example, because of the limited fault current contribution to the grid, because your power electronics interface limits the fault injection, then you may not have enough fault current actually to distinguish between the kind of emergency and fault state, and that can also be a safety issue. It can also result in the significant damage to specific equipment and so on. So I think this has really become fundamental to see how we can really run our systems with this high share of renewables. And it's not only the high share of renewables, but also the overall environment, the operational environment is getting more challenging, right? So on one hand, we see that the weather patterns are changing. So we have more extreme weather events, which are of course also influencing the output of renewable sources, like if you have strong wind or no wind or very sunny weather, but also this acts on the primary infrastructure. So it may result in a significant thunderstorm activity, and then lightning strikes, and more lines get disconnected by protection system, which also weakens the grid and may also goes towards the same problem of cascading events and the system blackouts, right? And also, that's the main topic of a discussion today. So the two layers, like the equipment, but also the cyber level, they get more and more linked. So our power systems, they get more automated, more digitalized. So obviously this creates an additional threat, because we also hear about more cyber attacks, which are basically kind of accessing the primary equipment through the cyber level, so that you can, if you intrude to the cyber level, you can then disconnect, for example, some of the key components in the primary level, which will result in loss of power supply. And not last thing to mention, of course, that we all live now in this pandemic situation, and that's potentially another threat. Maybe it's not really related to the very fast faults in the system and failures and how the system survives those, but in general, it's a certain limitation as well, related also to the workforce and so on. On the bottom of this figure, you see a big number of different technologies, which are roughly split into the technologies which can be kind of proactively employed and strengthening the grid, generating more kind of redundancy to the system, more kind of reserves and buffers. And the second color represents more flexible operations. So essentially, when you are exposed to the challenging conditions, so how resilient you can operate, and how quickly you can fix your problem, right? And next, I would like to go through a set of several illustrations related to these different technical approaches, how the operation of the system, the resilience, the reliability of system can improve. And the first one is basically the next generation of what we call FACTS, so flexible AC transmission system for improving the power quality. So essentially, in situations when you have a weak grid, a low inertia grid with a high share of variable renewables, of course, it is very important actually to provide this additional functionality, like kind of inertial response, like having enough contribution to the fault levels. And that's where a traditional technology, like, for example, the shunt compensation, like STATCOM, can be enhanced with some other components and having like a hybrid solution. For example, you can see here on the right side a project called Phoenix, which was realized in UK, where the STATCOM is combined with the synchronous condenser, which itself is a big rotating mass, capable to release its kinetic energy to the grid in case of the emergency situation. So that's how we can provide the inertial response and the short circuit contribution to the system, as well as the dynamic voltage support, which is a key functionality of the STATCOM itself. if you jump actually from this high voltage level down now to more distribution grid level, and if we talk about also systems at regional level, maybe the systems which are also weak grids, and especially in the areas which are exposed to the severe weather conditions where you may have a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of lightnings, for example, we see that microgrids and battery storage technology can significantly improve also reliability and availability of supply. So here, I would like to show you a case of the ESCRI project in Australia. So installed in the South Australia, which is relatively isolated part of Australia, and having a very high share of wind and solar generation. So due to the some of the challenging weather events, when lightnings result in loss of power supply, disconnection of lines, typically the customers in this area, they experience quite long outage time, right? So you can see there we say that in the first 6 months of operation, essentially the outage time was reduced from 8 hours to around 30 minutes, just by the fact that the energy storage can instantaneously step in the event of loss of mains and cover the local supply. But in addition, of course, what is really different here is that the advanced converter control, which has the special algorithms which can called virtual synchronous machine, which can actually emulate the behavior of a traditional synchronous generator in the system with all the functionality, including inertial response, including dynamic voltage control and fault contribution, also helps to stabilize the grid actually in case of events, right? And here I also would like to now ask for showing a video, which is the also the example of the renewable microgrid with integrated energy storage, and which enables a greener and secure power supply of off-grid mining area in Bontang. So please play the video.
Indonesia is the largest archipelago in the world. As one of the world's fastest-growing countries, Indonesia is the biggest energy user in Southeast Asia. The government wants to increase the use of renewable energy of 23% by 2025. As society shifts towards sustainable energy, one thing is clear: electricity will be the backbone of the entire energy system. Hitachi ABB Power Grids has successfully deployed advanced large-scale microgrid projects globally for more than 30 years, including in Indonesia and Southeast Asia. In Bontang, the island of Borneo, the microgrid powers a major industrial complex, integrating energy from steam turbine generators, diesel and solar PV, resulting in significant cost savings and reduced carbon emission by 192 tons annually. At the east-southern part of Indonesia, we have successfully rolled out another smart microgrid project operated by the country's state-owned utility company, located in the remote island of Semau, East Nusa Tenggara. Our microgrid solution incorporates diesel generators with a hybrid solution, consisting of solar PV and batteries as a reliable energy source, producing 100% renewable energy supply during hot, sunny days, while also enhancing the quality of life for the island's 7,500 people. From islands and remote communities seeking energy autonomy, to commercial and industrial sites aiming to unlock new economic opportunities, Hitachi ABB Power Grids is a trusted partner in the evolving global energy ecosystem.
Yes, so a great example of how the advanced microgrid control and storage can help a mining sector to reduce its environmental footprint without, let's say, compromising a business continuity. And with that, I would like to move to the third and actually the last technology here in the list. So the digital grid management, where also the end-to-end digital platform, including the field devices, the robust communication, advanced network, and different type of analytical applications for grid management are combined together. And having analogy with the human body becomes like nerves and the brain of the future power grid systems, right? And there are, of course, zillions of applications which we can talk about, but due to the limited time, what I just would like to share here on the screen is also a case of how actually the advanced distribution management system can help to basically dealing with and recovering from severe weather events. So here you see a case of Texas, which you obviously know was quite or has been frequently hit by the large-scale hurricanes, and here basically we see also the how the advanced grid management can actually improve the awareness, what is happening in the system, observability of the system, and by having this all this information, we can improve the reaction to the event and fastly recover from the from these outages. Right, one particular element of this digital grid operation is related also to what is called remedial action schemes. The algorithms which predetermine, which are basically detecting the predetermined conditions, kind of emergency conditions of the grid, and which can act in a predefined corrective way to prevent the further system collapse, right? And there are multiple actions which may include curtailment of load, generation tripping, reconfiguring of the system, and so on. Of course, all these actions can be taken on the transmission or distribution grid level, so this is typically quite complex system. But what we see, of course, as an important element here is that we have to move from this predetermined and predefined mindset, right? Because our grids are getting much more dynamic due to the more variable production side, more variable demand side. So we really need to move towards more kind of adaptive, more flexible configurations and settings of this kind of system integrity protection. And on that note, I want to say also that we have a great collaboration with Institute of Technology in Bandung, where we are together collaborating on developing this new generation remedial action schemes. And so finally, I just would like to close my presentation with this vision of Indonesia's future low carbon and reliable, resilient, and affordable integrated energy system with electricity network as a backbone, which will supply a fully CO2 neutral and circular economy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Alexander Audalov, for the interesting presentation on mastering the energy transition with power systems for the future. Interesting to see grid aid solution, digital grid management from sensors to the board, data-driven methods for enhancing resilience and vision on Indonesia's future power systems. And again, as a reminder, the attendees have the opportunity to submit questions to today's presenters by typing your questions into Q&A box on Zoom or via live chat on YouTube at any time during the presentation. So let's move to our next agenda, which is a presentation from Mr. Markus Schuler from Siemens AG Germany on smart grid technology in Indonesia. But before the presentation begins, allow us to read a brief biography of Mr. Markus Schuler. Mr. Markus Schuler is currently is a senior management consultant at Siemens Power Technologies International. He has working experiences as German utility head of control center and maintenance, Siemens digital grid solution lifecycle management, and global energy business consulting. And without further ado, I would like then welcome Mr. Markus Schuler to deliver a presentation on smart grid technologies in Indonesia. So, Mr. Markus Schuler, please, the Zoom is yours, about 15 minutes.
Yes, thanks very much. Hope you can hear me well. And I'd like to say thank you very much for the invitation. The idea came from our Indonesian colleagues, and they asked me if I can give some insights about our project work. Maybe one explanation up front, why senior consultant manager? When we start at Siemens, think about what could be smart grid. I need to review more than 10 years, a little bit more, much more than 10 years. And then we said, okay, when I was in the utility 20 years ago and I was responsible for grid operation in a German utility, if I draw the figure or the pictures that we use now for explain smart grid, I think no one will understand it. They say, oh, no, we do the same business like ever, like we've done the last 30 years, and that's it. But nowadays, we have a huge mindset change, and I have wrapped up a couple of evolutionary steps that we go with the smart grid in the beginning. There was the idea what could be smart at the grid. Before that, it was, to be honest, the grid was more than 20, 30, 40 years quite boring. It has one direction to supply energy to the customer. And then we wake up and said, oh, we can leverage the grid for a lot of more different things. But we need to understand what is already there. What are the different reaction schemes? What are the different technologies? So Smart Grid Reference Architecture was born in 2012. And from that, you see quite fast, and you can add a lot of other things that I have not mentioned here. It becomes a very, very fast development, and we show nearly with all the other partners, technology partners, customers together, we think about new solutions. And it was very exciting because we do things that we not estimate or that we not have on the radar before, but we have the technology partly ready in place, and we identify what kind of technologies need to be added. So we show intelligent ring main units, for example. In Germany, we received the Renewable Energy Act, and like my colleague from ABB has shown, in some times of the day or the year, we now have an in-feed quote from solar and wind, which is nearly 100% in Germany. It's not the average, it's the peak. But now we have learned quite how to handle all these challenges and what kind of impacts this is already. If you go from 20 to 30 to 50 and mainly finally maybe to 100% of renewable in-feed, it's a totally different grid behavior and a generation scheme, like you have it easily to control if you have fossil or nuclear power plants instead of these. We install with a couple of our customers together these first self-heating applications. It's only a Siemens example. I know that other suppliers also do similar things. Microgrid was mentioned today. And so you can add here in this list quite easily hundreds of examples what have been changed over the last 10, 12 years and how fast the technology development is ongoing and what kind of test beds we do, what kind of test applications we already do, and so on. Finally, from a management perspective, it's quite nice to have a lot of technology. And what is finally smart, if we talk to CEOs, if we talk to responsible guys in the government, smart is what makes our grids more reliable and our business more successful and sustainable. They don't start explaining technology because they want to have it. They want to have all the advantages from a new grid or from a smarter grid. And also today we have seen this four, I call it buzzwords, maybe not very nice, but if you ask for drivers, it has been very popular to say, oh, digitalization, decarbonization. Absolutely right. And it sometimes leads to a picture on the right side where I said, okay, this is all technology that's available for our smart grids, but it's a technologist's dreams to have a picture like this, but to be for the customers, for the utilities, for the energy industry, that's a nightmare, because where do you count on? Where do you put your money on? In which timeline do you put your money on the different technologies, on the different solutions? What is your capability to roll it out? And so the four buzzwords explain already very nice your challenges, but they don't know how to solve it. This is the challenge, and I've heard it also this morning, and I like this presentation very much, that in all the countries where we work with, and I have been working in nearly, since 2010, I am globally working in nearly 200 transformation projects around grid transformation, utility transformation, smart grid implementation, digitalization, however you want to call it. It's also merging. It's not a closed, let's say it's not a closed content that you say, oh, it's smart grid and this is the boundary here, the boundary there. It's merging. We have the influence factor from digitalization. We have the influence factor from communication. We have to be cyber secure. That's obvious. Otherwise, we deal with critical infrastructure. This is not a game. This is what we need daily, 110% available. And so we put all this new items on the grid and see how it works for our different customers and what kind of implementation strategies they always that they define for themselves. And I heard it also this morning, in a very good way, where the colleague from PLN said, yes, smart grid is country-wise different. Absolutely right. It's also from your starting point in technology, and it's also from your skill set, from your capabilities. It's always different. And then the challenge is not already to implement the technology. The challenge is already for our customers to balance the right mixture of technology implementation, capability and skills improvement, and business development. And in a couple of presentations, and this is that's the pole position in the back that I have here at the last speaker, I saw a lot of comments also, it must be affordable. And this is also quite important. We can't implement all the technologies that we have on the market. We have always to check, is there an feasible case study? Is there a business case for it? And for a couple of technologies with our customers together, we found out, okay, it's a nice technology, it could help, but it will never generate any kind of return of money. And this is also where our CEOs and our customers look for, that they for sure not have an unlimited budget. So there's an additional challenge in the industry we speak about now in all the countries. It's also when we saw this very nice curve where we said, okay, digitalization take place in a bank environment, in production industry, and so on and so on. Absolutely okay. And there is a clear explanation why they are the front runners in digitalization. The challenge for the energy industry, generation, transmission, distribution, everything that belongs to it, we have to do this change to digitalization and smart under operating conditions. We can't switch off, tell our customers, oh, the banking system is for the next 2 hours off. We play there, or we like to install an update, and then we are back for your services. This is not possible in the energy industry. So we have also work on a living organism and pay a lot of respect to the actual situation. If we implement something, if we implement new technologies, and how we implemented it, because we can't say, oh, certain area in the city, we switch you off for the next 5 hours, but then we return with a much smarter grid. I'm joking on that, but this is a huge challenge to refurbish or to let's say, update the grid under operating conditions. And all the people and my colleagues in the energy industry and utilities, I'm absolutely sure that they say, yes, this is maybe one of the greatest challenges, beside financing all that stuff. Just a short overview on a couple of different projects that we have guided as energy business consulting. And this is really, I belong to consulting team because we understood quite early that our customer also needs some guidance and they need let's say, a sparring partner to check all their ideas, how to become smart, how to become digital. And it's an improvement process that goes on over years and decades. You never defined, this is my final ready-made smart grid strategy, and now I'm implementing it over the next 15 years. It always needs to be challenged, it needs to be recovered, and you need to start with a kind of lessons learned. You see also your country is here. We have done in 2016 smart grid roadmap and case study. And in that example, it's quite nice. We have 135 together with PLN. We have identified 135 improvement measures. And beyond that, there's always a project, a rollout campaign, implementation of technology in the same way as you need to consider how to develop your skill set, because a smart grid is different to operate than a traditional one-directional ordinary grid like we have it 30 years before. And so you can estimate that beside implementing a smart grid, there's a huge capability needed in project management, in considering the right technologies. For sure, we have seen there are a lot of technologies in place, and every technology itself is quite exciting. If it's microgrid, if it's flexible building, if it's renewable generation, I love all of them. But the challenge is to implement the right technology in time that it generates a revenue stream for you and makes your business more successful. Whatever are your targets, and these targets are highly different in the different countries. I give a short explanation on the countries anyway. In Indonesia, further, we are established also with a couple of projects. Like the ABB colleagues, we're also partnering with the Institute of Technology, even in grid simulation, grid calculation, also in calculating renewables into the grid, which is in the first beginning also kind of simulation calculation phase to understand where can I place renewables in the grid in a senseful measure. And we have learned this on a very hard way here in Germany, because with the Renewable Act, we enable nearly all the renewables to the grid. And then we dropped the problems on the distribution companies and said, yes, okay, now you have the renewables. It's your problems how to handle it. It's also a way to learn. And I know that a lot of other countries and utilities are looking very amused to the German utilities. But I think they do, under this circumstances, quite a good job. In Indonesia, we're also represented, and we are partner for a lot of projects, even with our 3 main business units, which is Smart Infrastructure, Digital Industry, and Siemens Energy, and our partnerships here in Indonesia. So we are linked to the market and to the industry in a certain way. Some examples from what is inside and the different countries and the different drivers and targets. I picked out Canada, which is a huge utility, and we have heard about Canada this morning also short briefly. They have totally different targets. There is more the reliability problem. It's not mentioned as a development country normally, Canada, but it's a long area, exposed overhead line networks. Nearly large countries or part of the countries are not interconnected. They start being interconnected, and they have the challenge, for example, that they need to become more reliable, and that they have a huge challenge in peak shifting, because everything there in the cold winters is heated nearly electrical. So the electrical system had a huge stress factor in winter, and in summer it runs by a couple of percentage load. So out of these different gaps, you have a huge asset stress, and this is a totally different target that they already have. But they call it smart grid. And to be honest, it's smart grid. So we are working with NB Power for nearly now 10 years to run a smart grid rollout plan. And it includes also shutdown of generation plants and replacing it with the smart grid intelligence on the network and optimizing or shaving peaks. This is a very simple example of smart grid, but for the Canadian guys, that's smart. And to be honest, I like it. Norway, totally different. They don't have this problem like most of our customers mentioned, like, oh, decarbonization, we need to go away from fossil energy. Norway is 100% water, and it has been water generation before. So they are directly from scratch, they are clean, so to say. In their case, it's more or less that with the new challenges like electromobility, digitalization, link of the different energy systems, a lot of the smaller utilities are overloaded to implement the technology, to handle the technology, to fulfill the requirements from the government. So they have mainly a concentration process where they made out of 40, 50, 60 utilities across Norway. Finally, the target is to have 3 utilities, and the utility is a host for all the technologies that you need for smart grid. And for sure, they have also a reliability problem, because Norway is a large scale, less people. So they have exposed infrastructure. So you see also smart grid, totally different targets, drivers. And also they need to think about what kind of capabilities they already need to tackle these challenges. Germany, I've already mentioned, so I skipped Germany. And one of my favorite examples is Singapore. It was the best in class, if you look to SAIDI, SAIFI, highly reliable network, highly developed country. But on the other side, and this is not finger pointing, the challenge here is maybe partly comparable to Indonesia, maybe not from the supply quality, but from the generation aspects. They generate nearly everything out of gas and coal. So the challenge will be electrification of transport and integration of renewables without losing the highest supply quality in the world. And this is also smart grid. Hey, maybe they don't see it as smart because it's really challenging to change in a highly developed environment the infeed strategy, the consumption behavior, the supply behavior. But if you ask any one of our customers, they say it's a smart grid problem. But I hope I could explain that all the smart grids are not still the same. So I've summarized it a bit, saying energy business, that's for sure. It's also a little bit buzzword, maybe becomes more dynamic. New technologies arise faster, but we see technologies as an enabling possibility, but not every technology you have to be implemented. You have to be clear plan what technology helps you best and what technology pays off over a mid or long term. Then we see very strong, it's in regulatory or legal framework that has an impact on the behavior, like this CO2 emission penalty fees that we have to pay now in Germany and so on and so on. This enables also the desire to reduce emission. Sometimes it's the green idea, but to be honest, also the big wind farms that we have in the North Sea is a financial project. It's nice to have clean energy, but it pays off for the investors. And this is a totally underestimated driver. It's nice to become clean and green, but it must be affordable and it must be kind of business. That's for sure. Otherwise, no one will invest there. Sounds a bit gray, but it's like it is.
One left, Mr.
Yeah,
Marcus.
I think I have only one slide. Okay, existing grid infrastructure need to be, say, reproved on the operational paradigms, and digitalization has been identified as a strong support. This is also a bit buzzword, but it's not easy for utilities to become digital. For example, if you have your mid-voltage or low-voltage maps only handwritten. So this is a long way to digitalization in some cases. Last but not least, your individual strategy needs drivers, targets for sure, longer midterm strategy plan, and you have to consider change management and capability development. In most of the projects that we have seen, not technology is the problem, the implementation and the skill set is the problem. And only if you have a plan and then you have the chance to create a strategy out of it. And from the strategy, you have to be, let's say, it must be dynamic and adaptable. You have to consider all the new technologies and influence factors that came up. You have to be able to deploy technologies and to rate technologies if they make sense for you. This is quite a very, very strong capability that you need. You have to maintain or to keep your values, that's for sure. And they are normally part of the targets. And you have to respect people and skill sets because the technology change also has a lot of challenges for your employees to handle this. So maybe in the last slide a little bit too fast, but I hope you got what I like to tell you. If you use the right, or if you look for a partner to develop and challenge your plan already, if you have a plan, most of the utilities have one, we can still be there and we can support you if you like. And I hope I gave you some ideas or some insights or some impulses with my presentation to think about plans and how to readjust, challenge your plans. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Marcus Schuler, for the interesting presentation on smart grid technology in Indonesia. Couldn't agree more that not one of the projects has been the same like the others. Different countries will have different, drivers, targets, maturity of the grid and electrical systems, different capabilities, and so forth and so on. And for sure, totally agree as well. Only if we have a plan and a model, then we can consider the impacts and readjust or remodel our strategies. Okay, it's then now time for our second Q&A session. So we're now going to take questions from Q&A box on Zoom and live chat on YouTube. And we invite Mr. Hu Hao, Mr. Alexander Audelov, and Mr. Marcus Schuler to switch on the camera, please. And as a reminder, the webinar participants can submit questions through the Q&A box on Zoom and live chat on YouTube. And also don't forget to fill in the attendance form. Okay, I should check the list of the questions. First question is from Mr. Alexander Audelov. What are the barriers of the flexible demand in electricity and power? And what are pros and cons of removing the existing barriers? Could you please respond on them, because they are two questions.
Yeah, so the limitation of flexibility demand, I think, is basically, it depends on the particular sector, right? I mean, if you talk about industry, if you talk about essentially residential consumers and so on, of course, industrial demand response is pretty well developed. There's some emergency scheme. Probably you have heard about also a grid emergency event in Europe. So it was beginning of January when the European ENTSO-E grid was split in two parts because of the initial overloading condition, kicking some kind of a cascading event. And in one of the areas, actually the industrial emergency demand response was employed. So several gigawatts of demand in France and Italy was disconnected in a very short time, leading basically to stabilization of the system. So when we talk about, I think, residential demand, I guess that's the most limiting element. And I guess there we have to see what can be actually shifted, right? So what could be reduced, what could be shifted in time. And I think there also the main elements there are kind of non-traditional demand. So if you talk about conventional lighting, cooking, electronics, I think the capability is quite limited. But of course, for the settlements which are equipped, let's say, with electrical heating, so heat pumps or electric water boilers, or if you have electrical car at home, so all these things are actually provide quite a big potential for flexibility without actually compromising on the consumer comfort and lifestyle and so on, right? So I think this is one of the key elements actually, I mean, talking about removing these barriers, of course, one, and I guess it was mentioned several times today, one element is, of course, in the economic kind of space, right? So that there should be incentives either in terms of specific payment, let's say, for such an emergency service, or let's say just the kind of varying time of use tariffs, which also stimulate customer, to change the behavior. On the technology side, I think, again, I guess it requires a certain connectivity, right? I mean, I have, for example, also a heat pump at home or a plug-in hybrid vehicle, but obviously it is not controlled because, I mean, our neighborhoods are not equipped with this sort of, communication between our premises and the local distribution company. So I think this is one of the elements, and the way how it can be realized, either via direct communication or via smart meters and so on, I think there's a magnitude of options available. So yeah, so that's how I see a bit the situation.
Yeah, thanks for the response. Quite comprehensive response, I should say, I must say. And the question the second question is for Mr. Hu Hao from Huawei. What are the key technologies of multi-energy complementary, Mr. Hu Hao, and what are the current development and application of multi-energy complementary system? Could you respond on them?
Okay, so this is a very good topic. Actually, now we are talking about the multi-energy integration globally, because now you can see, as I said, the carbon neutrality is a global problem and the targets in the future. And we can see new renewable energies is not only used in the generation side, but also in as the DR, distributed energy sources, in consumption side, in campus, in factory, in the building. So actually, globally now we are talking about. Actually, I also constructed different scenarios with our PV. I mean solar, wind, and also heat, cold water, and also electricity together in just one area with microgrid, you know. And also the other thing is in this kind of multiple energy integration scenarios, we can provide the multi-energy optimization and the efficiency improvement solution, and also with VPP, virtual power plants capability, and also with our AI and big data technologies to help our customer. The first one is improve their energy efficiency, and the second one to reduce the carbon emission, and also to the third one is to achieve the targets of their digital transformation and the energy transition in their scenario in our building and also in different places. So actually, in the future, actually Huawei is also provide not only ICT infrastructure capability and also the scenario construction and the implementation with our partners globally to provide the platform and the cloud, and also our capability in data governance, structure, maintenance, and also the top design consultancy, and also the how to say the planning and the operation services in this area. So we are going to see in the future we can have more opportunity to cooperate with our customers and partners, especially in Indonesia in this area with our friends to do better for multi-energy integration scenarios and applications. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the response. And let's then move to the next questions for Mr. Marcus Simmons. Mr. Marcus Schuler, sorry, from Siemens.
Absolutely, okay.
Yeah. How do you think Indonesia can move forward to implement the digital technology in power system? And what are the key issues that can accelerate the implementation of the smart grid?
Okay, like I said also in my presentation, I don't want to give general advices. This is quite cheap. So if there is, for sure, we all in our environment use today parts of digitalization. We try to be quite digital in the consumer area. It's with mobile phones quite advanced. In the electrical sector, I really, if I have a wish, and this is maybe not the complete answer, if I have a wish, I want to pick up on our study that we've done in 2016 and check how far Indonesia has already gone in the details. And from that details on, we need to consider what is also possible, because this is one of the biggest limitations, not buying and implementing technology. It's on the other side, how fast you can adapt it and you can work with it. Digitalization is a huge thing. Like I said, some of our customers start nearly from scratch with grid plans that are handwritten, and it's not a joke. It's at least 30–40%, even in low voltage, which is the next challenging area in smart grid. Customers use a lot of manual analog written stuff where they document the low voltage grid. And these are key enablers in all the project is the digitalization of the network picture to allow simulation and to allow proper calculation, because with all the smart devices, and this is for sure, you can't overrule your physical limits. And I said, this is, I think, also in line with the presentation from ABB. So you have to respect at least the physical limits, but then you have a lot of flexibility. You have to act this flexibility. And it was also a comment from my colleague. The challenge is to control this flexibility, that you make the most out of this demand response scenario in case of usability for the grid. And this requires always a digitalization step. How Indonesia can step forward depends. My answer is maybe I like to see where are you already with your digitalization in the energy industry. I have some flashlight peak points, but I not have the complete picture. I really like to see it, but it's a kind of analytic process that we need to run. So please excuse that I don't want to give a very common or simple answer on that.
Yeah, thank you. And well, maybe we should say sorry because it was the last question apparently for our last Q&A session due to the time we have. I will check that. Yeah. And if you have questions we didn't have time to answer on today's webinar, please contact speakers or the company at the address shown on their slide presentation. We have a recording of this webinar on YouTube channel MKI IEPS. So yeah, thank you our today speakers, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar entitled Smart Grid Implementation Strategy in Indonesia. But again, due to too fast, I lead photo session before as a request from the organizing committee. We would like to have again a photo session with all speakers. Hope you don't mind. So please, all speakers, switch on your camera for a while. And all panelists, I suppose, could you all switch on your camera, not only speakers? Someone could just count the countdown 3, 2, 1. If we think it's then enough to wait for the others. Yeah. Okay. Shall I count down? 3, 2, 1. Cheers. Cast. Okay, thanks. And yeah, as mentioned earlier, today's webinar is the first episode of MKI Smart Grid webinar series out of 10 episodes hosted by the Indonesian Electrical Power Society or Masyarakat Ketenaga Listrikan Indonesia, MKI, taken place in April 2021 till January 2022. It's supported by Directorate General of Electricity, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources of Republic of Indonesia, and PT PLN Persero. And it's sponsored by Tide, Huawei, KEPCO, Hitachi ABB Power Grid, Siemens, ABB Sakti Industri, Trillian, GE Grid Solutions, Mitsubishi Power, and in partnership with Think Smart Grid and Energy Academy Indonesia or ECADIN. On behalf of the Indonesian Electrical Power Society, thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you all in the next episode of MKI Smart Grid webinar series in May 2021, next month, on advanced metering infrastructure. We will keep you all updated on the detail via email, and thank you and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Tide strongly believes the importance of environment protection and energy efficiency in order to achieve a sustainable future for mankind. Thus, our technological commitment will foster mutual betterment of our allied companies, customers, shareholders, and employees. Tide pledges to always hold our management philosophy and values at heart. Until now, the meter readers have had to do manual meter reading. This existing manual process is time and money-consuming work. This makes it hard for us to detect blackout and manage energy demands. And it makes us hard to manage loss during transmission and distribution. As a result, this existing manual process makes grid unsmarter. But Tide's end-to-end AMI solutions will connect the user with utility companies. Tide's intelligent AMI solutions will solve many problems from the existing manual process. We can reduce time and money spent metering manually. We can manage blackout and loss during distribution. We can do demand response, TOU. Finally, we can make grid smarter. AMI, service. Meter reading information of household is call-seated by modem and DCU. There are two types of smart meter, internal and external. Smart meter sends metering data to modem via serial communication. Modem sends metering data to DCU via PLC communication. DCU sends metering data to server via fiber optic and cellular network. On-time monitoring and detection of electrical loss. TOU, time of USC flexible tariffs. Connectivity to electric vehicle charging system. Connection of renewable energy and battery with bidirectional metering. Reliable collection rate improving, monitoring of power quality. making grids smarter and more efficient. A hidden champion in the energy IoT solution industry. Tide.
The world of energy is changing. And change is good. It creates new opportunities. As long as we can adapt, the potential is endless. But in the world of energy, change can be difficult. It's fast and complex. And we still need to maintain grid stability and power quality, ensure cybersecurity, and provide affordable and reliable energy. Rise to the challenge. It's time to accelerate the change by driving energy intelligence. From the smartest way to control your grid, to the new opportunities at the grid edge, and across connected electrification solutions. Imagine the possibilities once the grids are truly smart. It will be possible to operate and maintain grids with confidence. Use data to create transparency and react quickly to whatever's next. Ensure an energy supply that meets every requirement. We at Siemens are driving energy intelligence, so you can master all the changes, today and tomorrow.
Siemens, ingenuity for life.
It's easy to be blinded by the urgent issues facing our planet. But to shut our eyes is not in our DNA. We look at problems not as one big challenge. We break them down into a spectrum of solutions. leveraging our pioneering and digital technologies to co-create innovative solutions with our partners and customers across the entire value chain. Powering efficiency by creating a smarter, more flexible power grid. Powering resilience and reliability by digitalizing the energy value chain. Powering safety by enabling cyber-secure infrastructure for mission-critical sectors. Powering sustainability by integrating renewables into the power grid. We are two pioneers combining generations of expertise for a stronger, smarter, and greener future. Powering good for sustainable energy. Hitachi ABB Power Grids.
The courage to challenge the unknown world. The passion to make a beautiful evening. The delivery of hope to isolated areas. All are made possible by KEPCO. The symbiotic energy to create a better world is made by KEPCO. Owning 6 power generation companies and 4 power group companies, KEPCO demonstrates its capacity as a leader in the world energy market based on its competitiveness as a small energy company. Managing power generation, renewable energy like wind and solar power, and even super high voltage transmission and transformation facilities and distribution networks, KEPCO is a comprehensive power company. Amid paradigm shifts in the energy industry, like the Paris Climate Agreement, and rapid growth of emerging economies, KEPCO is creating a new growth engine by pursuing a value-created new energy industry. Deviating from the traditional energy industry, including EVC, ESS, smart grid, and microgrid, etc., KEPCO is pursuing technology development and commercialization in the new energy industry. We are also striving to prepare the technological foundation for IoT, which has infinite potential as a new power industry. KEPCO continues to create new values by combining power technology and ICT projects, while pushing forward with the construction of offshore wind power complexes in the southwestern seas, construction of HVDC submarine cables from Jeju Island to Jindo Island, and the technological development and commercialization of the smart grid, which is an intelligent power grid that used to be only dreamed of. KEPCO will build a greater energy world by developing Energy Valley, the cradle for creating future growth engines, into a global smart energy hub and lead the new energy industry. With the invisible energy of happiness, KEPCO opens a hopeful future.
The various stakeholders in the French smart grid sector may be found on this diagram: network management and operations. These solutions deliver cost savings and technical improvements to networks. New uses. These solutions encompass e-mobility, smart homes, and smart buildings. Of the prosumer. Prosumers are active participants in the energy market, thanks to smart meters and self-consumption. Integration of renewable resources. These solutions help manage the challenge of renewable energy intermittency. Use of data. Energy data is put to use to offer new services to consumers and local authorities. Research and expertise. Members of this sector offer smart grid-related training and consultancy services. France, including overseas departments and collectivities, aims to generate 32% of the energy it consumes from renewable sources by 2030. Since 2008, 121 pilot demonstration projects around the country have helped hone France's expertise in smart grid operational technologies and features. From 2008 to 2014, these smart grid projects span several regions and focus upon the 6 key aspects of the French smart grid sector, promoting French expertise in this field on the international stage.